the second star, Chris Chelios. There's a reason everyone gangs up on Chris. First, it takes a gang to stop him and hold him back. You must to beat Chicago. And the third star, Ed Belfour. The Hawks seldom have trouble stopping goals because Belfour is one of the best in his business, and this year has 5 shutouts. Tonight on TSN, if the 3 stars are Roenick, Chelios, and Belfour, Daryl Sutter will be pleased to watch the tape. And the Winnipeg Jets have been waiting since January 12th for their 3rd win of 94. Since the end of January, they've been waiting for Teemu to return. Now the players seem to be waiting for Bob Essenson to be traded. Waiting for wins, waiting for change. They're waiting for this 16-game nightmare to end. Unbelievable!
Trade created an offensive void that's plagued Chicago all year. Rumors of a trade for disgruntled yet talented scorer Peter Nedved continue to linger. So the hot light shines on GM Bob Pulford. Will he swing a deal to make Chicago a contender?
The Blackhawks are ready to extend a cool reception of the Jets. Winless in 16, they have not won in Chicago since 1985. It's busy elsewhere. Eddie Johnson's inconsistent Penguins home to the Ducks and leading 1-0. Jacques Lemaire's Devils winless in 4 against the Rangers are even at 1 in the second. Scotty Bowman's Red Wings take on Hartford and lead 1-0 after 1. And later it's Dave King's Flames hosting Tampa Bay.
On TSN. Brought to you by Molson Canadian, what beer's all about. And by new Pepsi Max, all the taste of a regular cola and 1/3 the calories of Pepsi.
Tonight's game from Chicago features Winnipeg's #1 center, Alexei Zhamnov, who badly misses his right winger, Teemu Selanne, who's hurt. And young #1 center Jeremy Roenick of Chicago, who badly misses his #1 right winger Steve Larmer, but he's not likely to come back. Still, Jeremy might get 100 points. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the NHL Tonight from Chicago Stadium, where there's only 13 games left in the last regular season of the stadium that roars. Yet it hasn't been the greatest home base for the Blackhawks lately. They're winless in 5 straight at home. So what's happened to home ice advantage here, Daryl Sutter?
I think, first of all, I think other teams are using this building now as a motivation factor. I think a lot of them are coming in knowing it's probably their last time here, and especially some of the older guys around the league. I think they're getting excited about it. They have a lot of fond memories of this building, and as the season goes on, our team, I think, tends to take it for granted a little bit. You take for granted the roar and the organ and the fans, and it can almost have a negative effect.
So, Gary, do you buy the fact that opponents are so pumped up this isn't a great place for the Blackhawks anymore?
Well, first of all, when you look at Winnipeg, Ulanov, Mironov, and Zhamnov, they don't have much history in this building, period. But John Paddock hopes they have the best game of their career so they can get out of this miserable slump. For Daryl Sutter, there's no question that before this game started, that their whole pregame talk was about getting that first goal, coming out, and playing the type of game that you know Chicago can play in this building so that you can hear the roar and you can hear the organ.
That's what they always try and do, and especially tonight against the struggling Jets. Now for more on the NHL Tonight, we bring in John Wells and Bob McKenzie.
Just for a second, though, we're running a little bit tight here. We'll be back live from NHL Control in just a moment.
In Canada, People respect the winter elements and will dress appropriately, easily adapting to the change of seasons. Winter, where you'll find the clean, crisp taste of Molson Canadian.
I love this country.
And what beer's all about.
Pepsi Max.
It's new. All the taste of regular cola and a third the calories.
Yeah, sure.
Tastes good, that's all I know.
Gull la beau.
Can't you just enjoy it without the analysis, Sigmund?
What do you think stops some crazy bigwig at Pepsi from just printing up a bunch of false labels?
Jail.
You are so naive. New Pepsi Max.
Could you get him a fork?
All the taste, 1/3 the calories.
Also tonight, St. Louis and Quebec first meeting at Le Colisée since last month's deal. Part of the problem for the Quebec Nordiques lately has been Matt Sundin. He just hasn't been scoring.
No, and it's really funny. He went into the dumper about the same time that his agent went to Quebec City to talk to Marcel Aubout about a contract. Marcel Aubout read a story about the agent coming in the paper that day. It was supposed to be a secret meeting. He told the agent when he got there, "Get out of here, I don't even want to talk to you." And Sundin's not happy with his contract. Whether that's a big factor or not remains to be seen, but there's really no excuse for how poorly Matt Sundin is playing this season.
Well, there has been a struggle for the Blackhawks, even at home lately, as Jim Houston was talking about just a couple of moments ago. But it is always fun to get to the stadium just a little bit early and hear the American national anthem as sung by Wayne Messmer.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets' red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the Welcome to NHL action from the loud side of Chicago. It's the Winnipeg Jets and the Chicago Blackhawks. Let's meet tonight's starting goaltenders. For Thrifty, the official car rental company of the NHL. For the Winnipeg Jets, it's 29-year-old Bob Essens from Toronto. Rumored to be traded any day now, but fact is he's a great goalie whose numbers this season aren't that great. At the other end of the rink is 28-year-old Ed Belfour from Carman, Manitoba. The Blackhawks don't score much, but they don't have to a lot of nights because Ed Belfour is sensational just about every night. The referee for tonight's game is Terry Gregson, his linesman, Andy McKelvin, and Dan Shakti. After tonight, just a dozen games to go in the last regular season here, and this is the last visit that the Winnipeg Jets will ever make to this building. They haven't won here in 9 years. They may not be too sad to see the last of it. With a shot from the point. He's paired with Stefan Quintel to start the game, and Quintel, number 4, takes a bump from Jeremy Roenick but keeps the puck in. Steve Smith and Chris Chelios, the starting defensive pair for Chicago. Smith lost the puck, a centering pass. Nelson Emerson had it go off his skate, and then he tripped up. Here's Jeremy Roenick. He's with Jocelyn Lemieux and Rich Sutter to start this game. Gintel is hit by Rich Sutter, who barges in after the puck, then he's tripped up. Gintel, who playing with St. Louis, played a lot in this building and knows how to weather the early storm the Blackhawks usually provide, dumps the puck the length of the ice, and the teams make their first changes. Chris Chelios up the middle to Michel Goulet, number 16. He got away from Ty Domi, then dumped the puck in. Taking over his newcomer to Winnipeg, Wayne McBean, a Calgary native who started his career with LA and then the Islanders. Round on the board, Stéphane Matteau. Teamed up with Christian Ruutu and Michel Goulet. Matteau, number 32. Nice hit. He's stopped on the boards by McBean. His partner is veteran Dean Kennedy, who's trying to move the puck and can't. Matteau to Christian Ruutu. In front of the net, Cam Russell. The pass kicked away by Bob Essensa all the way out to center. Matteau, the first man back, and runs interference on Domi.
Good quick pace in this early going of the hockey game. Winnipeg have come out and forechecked right away. They weren't laying back, giving Chicago any respect.
Beat them at their own game early.
Absolutely. Daryl Sutter knows that he's got one thing going for him with this hockey club in particular. And that is the way that this team can play defensively. They've got solid goaltending, and solid goaltending in playoffs could bring you a long way. Ed Belfour is a very capable goaltender under pressure. He's also got a team that understands that hard work and defense is important to winning, and I think it's even that much more important in postseason play. They're 6th best in the league defensively and can kill penalties well.
But they haven't averaged 3 goals a game this season. They're under that.
And that's the tough part, because coaches can't do a lot about that.
They miss Steve Larmer without a doubt on the right wing with Jeremy Roenick, who won't become the first Blackhawk to score 50 goals 3 seasons in a row. He's on a line now with Brian Noonan and Joe Murphy. This is the #1 unit for the Blackhawks. JR with a pass over to Eric Weinrich, didn't connect. The Jets, John LeBlanc on the #1 line with Alexei Zhamnov and Russ Roenick. Roenick and LeBlanc just called up from the minors. Here's Murphy, beats the defense. His shot would have gone wide, but was blocked by Essensa anyway. And now there'll be a penalty, and it'll be against the Winnipeg Jets, as Murphy, heading for the goal, was tripped up, and there'll be an early Chicago power play.
Murphy showed great intensity going to the net. That's what the Blackhawks have got to do early in this hockey game. He went to the outside, then started to cut in. That's when Quintel was coming from behind. Gave him a little bit of a chop, but I think that Murphy kind of tended to fall on his own there. Just too sharp of an angle when he tried to turn.
A tripping call, though, puts the Blackhawks on the power play. A power play that's led by Jeremy Roenick. And while their power play isn't great, 18th in the league, it's because they just haven't got an awful lot of touch around the net, don't you think?
Well, they've got a couple of key players here on the power play, and Chelios back in the blue line, and Roenick up front. So that's a good start on a power play, but not enough players that have got that touch around the net, and offense is definitely the problem of the Chicago Blackhawks all around.
You saw the Blackhawks power play average of 17.2%. The league average is 18.6, so they're under that, and there are their leaders on the power play. Defensive pair, point men, Eric Weinrich, who wears #2, and Chris Chelios, #7. Weinrich bumped hard by Sergei Boutin. Big Russian defenseman. Joe Murphy, #17. His pass to Chelios at the right point. Noonan goes for the front of the goal. Weinrich with a pass into Jeremy Roenick. Side of the net for Noonan. Chelios breaks in. The pass didn't get to him. Ulanov had hooked Noonan enough to keep that pass from getting back to Chelios. 30 seconds into the penalty to Stéphane Quintel. No score in the game. Here's Jeremy Roenick, trying to go all the way to the net himself, and he's turned back, but the puck doesn't come out. Weinrich with a pass into Murphy. Chelios hammers a shot off the inboards. Weinrich from the other side. Passes the puck into Brian Noonan. Chelios breaks for the net. The pass, he couldn't knock it out of the air. And the puck bounces almost to the blue line, and Mike Eagles with a nice effort got it down into the Chicago zone with a minute to go and a penalty. Igor Ulanov on the boards to Russ Roenick. And he sends it all the way down into the Chicago's end. Randy Gillen out with Roenick as forwards, killing the penalty with Kennedy and Wayne McBean. Chelios to Stéphane Matteau. Goulet heads for the net. The pass goes all the way to the corner. Christian Ruutu in behind the net. Stéphane Matteau Michel Goulet, now Steve Smith. Passes to Goulet, and he lost control, and the puck comes to center. And the Hawks are running out of time in the power play.
Jets, though, are doing a good job. They have been intense. They have been very focused in this game so far, and the first 10 minutes in this building are pretty important.
They've got through almost 4 of them. Quintel getting set to come back on the ice. 5 seconds to go into penalty. Christian Ruutu has the puck. Steve Smith breaks for the net. Now he retreats to his defensive position. The penalty's over. Ruutu's shot goes wide of the net on the short side. Russ Roenick fires the puck in. Off the boards, Keith Tkachuk, the young captain of the Jets. Centering pass didn't get through. Now the Blackhawks regroup in their own zone. Pass out to center, intercepted by Boris Mironov and dumped back in by Winnipeg. And again, the Jets keep the Blackhawks from coming out of their own zone. Neil Wilkinson forced out the other side. Boris Mironov stops the puck, keeps it in. Into the corner, here's Thomas Steen to Alexei Zhamnov. He's with John LeBlanc. LeBlanc, sharp angled shot. Easily stopped by Belfour, who plays the puck onto the wing to Steve Dubinsky. But there's an interference call against Neil Wilkinson, and the Jets have weathered the first 5 minutes in Chicago Stadium, and now they'll get a power play when we come back.
It's Saturday, and all over Canada, people are enjoying products from Canadian Tire. Maybe it's because we've always offered Canadians the things they're proud to own at the price they want to pay. Top quality, guaranteed low prices. And that's why we've been a part of your Saturdays for over 70 years. There's a lot more to Canadian Tire for a lot less.
You know, son, the goalies are the real stars in this game.
Quick update from Pittsburgh with the Mighty Ducks in town. Here's Sean McEachran, top of the circle. He fools Mikhail Stolinkov. McEachran gets his second with the Penguins. And it is now 2-1 Pittsburgh leading Anaheim. They're in the second period. Jim?
Here's a Winnipeg native, Neil Wilkinson, who's put Winnipeg on the power play because he's taken a penalty for Chicago.
Daryl Sutter usually likes to dress 7 defensemen because he says one of them's always in the penalty box, so that way you've always got 6.
Jets power play 16th in the league, a little better than Chicago's. Chicago penalty killing, as you might expect, very good.
They get lots of practice at it, though, because they lead the league in penalties.
In penalty minutes, but they're not leading the league in time shorthanded. Here's Alexei Zhamnov with just 1 goal in his last 16 games. And he's out on the power play. Nelson Emerson had the puck get over the blue line. And the play is offside.
When you take a look at the Winnipeg Jets, a lot of people think that they've got to tear down and just start all over again, but they really do have 4 pretty good forwards, and this guy is one of them. I think he can get better, and then when you take a look at the fact you got to have a guy like Emerson, you've got Tkachuk, and once Timo Solani comes back, you've got 4 pretty darn good forwards.
And in Temple Newman, when he's healthy, is a very good defenseman and a great goalie, either Bob Essenza or another goalie they get when they trade him. And you've got a lot to build with.
The problem I think John Paddock is having, though, is that he's realized very quickly that rebuilding or just making one deal takes a long time.
Zhamnov is up front with Darren Shannon and Keith Tkachuk. Tkachuk was a doubtful starter in this game because he's had a number of nagging injuries.
That's why we didn't talk about him much in the opening, because we really doubted that he was going to play. John Paddock didn't think he was going to.
I bet John has a tough time keeping him out of the lineup and convincing him he should rest for a night. Here's Stefan Matteau, shorthanded, in on Emerson, a forward, playing the point of the power play. And Matteau prefers to rag the puck. He didn't get a shot. Guess who's up behind the Winnipeg goal? Chris Chelios, and he's drawn a penalty. Much like Terry O'Reilly of the Boston Bruins used to be, when Chris Chelios goes into a corner, he either takes a penalty or draws one.
Funny, didn't we see that in the opening of tonight's game where Chris Chelios usually draws the crowd? Well, it just seems to be that players don't like Chris Chelios very much. Tremendous amount of respect for the way that he plays, and his great skill, but boy, he's a tough one.
Teams will play 4-on-4, and we'll play the update game, John.
Let's show you a little Devils Rangers action. Here's Mark Messier, score tied 1-1. Second period, Messier for Adam Graves, and Graves has his 43rd of the season, beating Martin Brodeur. It is 2-1 Rangers, second period in Jersey.
There's the coach and general manager of the Winnipeg Jets, John Paddock.
It's a tough job, especially when you've got to spend so much time right now trying to look at making changes on this hockey club, whether those are short-term fixes or long-term.
There's a steal and a shot up over top of the net. That was Jeff Shantz, number 11. Out was Steve Dubinsky as the forwards. Shantz throws a good hit. Luciano Borsato hit again by Dubinsky. Here's 2/3 of the Indianapolis ice line. The Blackhawks are icing tonight. Dubinsky, Shantz, and Sergei Krivokrasov has been called up. Add a little spark to the Blackhawks as well. Now Quintel bumped Dubinsky. And for that, he has to deal with Cam Russell, who will take all comers. And they'll both be penalized. There is a bit of bad blood between these two teams playing in the same division, having just played on Friday night in a very chippy game.
7-2 affair. You see how that all got started. Cam Russell started right in the pregame warm-ups tonight when he and Ty Domi were going shoulder to shoulder right at the red line, almost looking to start something early.
And Terry Gregson hasn't called coincidental penalties either. He's given the only penalty to Cam Russell of the Blackhawks. So Winnipeg will get a 4-on-3 man advantage out of this. So again, as is usually the case, retaliation is caught.
There's a guy that spends his fair share of time in the penalty box.
Russell's off for rubbing. The Jets are back on the power play, a 4-on-3 man advantage. Scoreless game, 7 minutes in at Chicago Stadium. Tkachuk to Nelson Emerson. Ulanoff shoots. Belfort is saved. Tkachuk can get a hold of the rebound. Wilkinson's out of the penalty box, banged his stick on the ice, and he got the pass from Ulanoff. Here's a 2-on-1. Wilkinson tried to set up Roenick and couldn't get him the puck. It hit the skates of Stefan Quintel. A very short power play for Winnipeg is over, but they got a chance on it. And now the teams are playing 4-on-4 once again.
What a body check that was by Ulanoff right on Chelios.
There's a two-line pass. Roenick's skates were over center ice. And the play is stopped. 12:30 to play first period. 0-0.
One thing about the defense for the Winnipeg Jets is that they're a big defense. They would average about 6'2", 200 pounds. Watch this hit again. Ulanoff goes right after Chelios, who'd already given up the puck. Ulanoff had one thing in mind, and that was putting Chris Chelios right into the boards as hard as he could.
That's the kind of play they would love to see every game from Sergei Boutin, Igor Ulanoff. Obviously, there have been flashes of it.
Well, Boutin showed that he was ready to play in tonight's hockey game because he made a pretty good body check early in the game in his own end zone, and that's the type of hitting that John Paddock expects from his defense.
Now there'll be a Winnipeg penalty to Alexei Zhamnov. He threw a hit at František Kuchera, and Zhamnov is being penalized here, so the Blackhawks will get a 4-on-3 man advantage.
Well, I like the way that John Paddock obviously had this hockey club pretty revved up to play in this building tonight. They haven't been laying back and playing defense a little bit, not that they usually do, but they have been coming out and putting the body to the Blackhawks. And I'd say they have had more body checks tonight than the Blackhawks have so far in this building, and that's very unusual.
So as you see, an elbowing penalty to Zhamnov of John Paddock's Jets. And so for 37 seconds until Darren Shannon's penalty expires, it'll be a power play here for the Blackhawks 4-on-3.
That's the problem, though. The Winnipeg Jets take a lot of penalties as well. In fact, as far as penalty minutes go, they take the third most in the league, but yet they're not very good killing penalties at all. They rank 22nd.
Part of the reason the Blackhawks are highly penalized is because with their aggressive play, they're willing to trade off penalties, and they often take players with them. There are 9 teams in the league that play shorthanded more often than Chicago, even though the Blackhawks have the most penalty minutes. Chelios and Smith switch sides. Roenick moves in, he shoots. Essence out with a great save on Jeremy Roenick.
The Jets are going to get out of this slump. That's the type of goaltending they need from Bob Essenson.
There's Steve Smith trying to get away from Boughton and move in on the left side. Blackhawks are on a power play. And Steve Smith is on Boughton, and he gets a punch for it. Quintel pushed Murphy. Stefan Quintel is all fired up and is trying hard to get into this scrum and get at Joe Murphy.
You're right. These two teams really don't like each other at all. And Winnipeg have been the most aggressive. Quintel's been fired up right from the drop of the puck tonight.
Friday night when Chicago played in Winnipeg and won 7-2, it turned into a very chippy affair, especially after Dirk Graham of the Blackhawks separated his shoulder in the game, and a lot of the Chicago guys spent the rest of the night running after Mike Eagles. We'll be back in Chicago after this.
Somewhere, someone's thinking about a cure for cancer, a cure for politicians, a vaccine for baldness, a personality scanning device, a nifty little thing that'll keep your shirt tucked in, a cure for hunger, 12-hour breath mints, a workable education system, and self-cleaning dishes. Got any ideas? Whatever you'd like to do, we'd like to help make it happen.
Indeed, the Winnipeg Jets have been aggressive early in this game, but they've also taken most of the penalties. Stefan Quintel, the only player penalized after this scrum in the Chicago zone for roughing at 8:16.
This is how it all started. Steve Smith went down. Now watch, when he got up, he was being held by Boughton and received a smack in the chops for it. Quintel came in, Smith retaliated, and it all started to turn into a little bit of a scrum, but Quintel's the one that picks up the penalty.
Now 3 Winnipeg Jets are in the penalty box with minor penalties. Darren Shannon's penalty expires in 1 second, and then the penalty clock will start on the Quintel minor. So it's 4-on-3 for Chicago. Joe Murphy, Chris Chelios, Smith and Roenick out on the power play as well. Chelios in the middle. Plays the puck to Roenick. Back to Chelios. Fakes the shot. Smith takes the shot, and Essenza makes the save. And Ulanov got to the puck and managed to clear it to center. Eagles raced after it. Chelios got back, but there's an injured player.
I think that's Steve Smith in the corner.
Of the Blackhawks.
And he was holding his face when he went down.
The puck went to that corner, and Igor Ulanov was able to clear it.
Doesn't appear as Terry Gregson is going to issue a penalty for this.
Did he take a stick of the puck? I suspect the stick.
Oh, absolutely. That stick came right up and caught Smith in the face. That's what Chelios was arguing.
So that might create a little more bad blood between these teams Friday night. The Blackhawks lost Dirk Graham until late in March, and here's how it happened. Mike Eagles comes into the corner after Dirk Graham.
Eagles cross-checked him when he went in, and that's what separated his shoulder.
So the Blackhawks weren't enthralled with that, obviously. They lost their captain. And now Steve Smith took a stick in the face here. No penalty called. But maybe another score to settle.
I think Terry Gregson was explaining to Chelios that it was the puck that came up and caught him in the chin, and we had the advantage of the replay, of course.
Roenick to Weinrich. Power play continues. It's 5-on-3 now. Weinrich to Chelios. Crowd in front. The shot. They score!
Well, good old-fashioned power play. Shoot from the point and get your forwards in front of the net. Goulet was in front. Murphy was in front. Murphy just parked off to the side. Goulet was the one taking most of the beating.
Chelios with a good, hard, low shot. If anybody tipped it, it was Michel Goulet, but it looked as though it went straight in. Chicago leads 1-0. They had a two-man advantage because Cam Russell's penalty had just expired, so they'll still have a power play.
Scored by number 7, Chris Chelios. Assisted by number 2, Eric Weinrich, and number 27, Jeremy Roenick.
Weinrich and Roenick assist on Chelios 13th at 9:03. It's 1-0 Blackhawks. Stefan Quintel continues to serve a roughing penalty, and so the Blackhawks continue to hold a one-man advantage. Zamnov got out of the penalty box upon the goal scored by Chris Chelios. Route 2 to Stefan Matteau. Goulet goes to the front of the net. Chelios quickly over to Weinrich. Hard shot blocked in front. Diving for the puck was Shannon. He couldn't get it out by Chris Chelios. Weinrich has lots of room. Rolling puck. He plays it over to Chelios. Into Route 2. Goulet's in front. Matteau goes to the end boards. The pass to Chelios. One-timer's blocked. Shannon can't find it and recovers to get the puck to center. And now play is stopped, and there'll be another penalty to the Winnipeg Jets.
Boughton's going to get it, this time for cross-checking. He really put Michel Goulet, who was standing in front of the net where he was positioned on Chicago's first goal. He put him down hard.
Number 3, Sergei.
Terry Gregson gave a pretty emphatic description of the cross-check as well.
2 minutes for cross-checking at 9:40.
There's Goulet, and just to the left of your screen, you could see that cross-check.
Blackhawks will have a two-man advantage again as we go to an update from Quebec.
Where the Nordiques are leading the Blues 1-0 as we pick it up second period. Joe Sakic with a nice long lead pass. Claude Lapointe in on Curtis Joseph, and he has Joe at his mercy for a 2-0 Quebec lead on the Blues. Second period.
This hole could get pretty deep for the Winnipeg Jets if they continue to play two men short for too long.
Got to really respect the way that Michel Goulet has been playing in front of the net tonight. They don't have a lot of guys with good hands that can be in front of the net and do the job. Roenick tends to stay out in the perimeter so that he can get that quick shot away and set up Chelios. So Michel Goulet just keeps on taking a beating, and yet's got some pretty good hands. And you know what you're going to get out of Michel Goulet.
He takes a rest now as Noonan, Murphy, and Roenick come out on the power play. Chelios stays on the ice. He's logged a lot early in this game, hasn't he? And he's with Eric Weinrich. Mike Eagles, Dean Kennedy, Igor Ulanov, the penalty killers for Winnipeg. Jeremy Roenick, side of the net. Noonan can't put it in by Bob Essensa. In 5 seconds, Quintel gets back on the ice, and Winnipeg will be just one man short. And now he's back on. Murphy, Jeremy Roenick to the net. Couldn't take the puck with him. Kennedy cut him off.
Boy, at the speed that he was going, if he ever got hit,
Quintel going to the bench. Clip this Chicago player. Was it Chris Chelios going to the bench? It's Chris Chelios down on the ice. He was headed for the bench. Quintel was over there, but I don't think it was Quintel who got him.
Whether Gregson saw it or not, he was talking to Chelios at the same time looking at him. It may have been Kachuk's stick that caught Chelios right in the face. In that case, he may be gone from the game.
It'll definitely be a penalty to Winnipeg. Terry Gregson has made the signal. The penalty box door is open, and Keith Kachuk, the young captain of the Jets, is being penalized for high sticking. What about the severity of the penalty? Kachuk is just going to the penalty box, so it'll be 2 minutes. But once again, for a minute 17 seconds, John Paddock's team will be 2 men short. They've taken 4 straight penalties.
For high sticking at 10:29. Winnipeg penalty.
Watch right here. Chelios takes the puck. Oh, whoa! What a high stick. Almost took the helmet right off of Chris Chelios.
Went to lift his stick and missed and whacked him in the head. And he's lucky to get 2.
Yeah, he sure is, because that was just very careless usage of the stick on the part of Kachuk.
Special thanks to the Women's Board of Maryville Academy and Father John Smith for their support. Garland Blackhawks Charities is the fund of the Robert R. McCormick.
And that won't make Chris Chelios happy at all at the number of times that he seems to end up in the league and the referee's bat box. That one could have been very serious.
Nothing. The Blackhawks lead. We passed the midway mark of the first period, and they have a 2-man advantage once again.
I know that drawing blood has no significance to the penalty at all, but it seems to take some toll at times.
You're right. It seems in most cases that somebody's bleeding, and there's a major penalty. And in that case, there should have been a major penalty. Just because of the severity of the high stick.
But at the same time, even suspensions are that way, Jim. It's an after the fact, and if a guy was injured for 3 weeks in the same type of a play whereby the guy didn't even leave the ice, like in Chelios' case, if that had hit Chelios' eye, and Chelios was out for the remainder of the season, there would probably be the severity of a penalty or suspension that might put a guy like Kachuk out for the rest of the year. Somehow there has to be some, I think, some consistency in just the penalty or the way that the player uses that stick, period, regardless of what the outcome is.
It was terribly careless use of the stick, and that's severe enough.
Exactly.
Puck just got outside the blue line, so there's an offside call. 48 seconds left in Daryl Sutter's 2-man advantage. Straight minor penalties for John Paddock. Mike Eagles wins the draw. Igor Ulanov trying to clear it and can't. Goulet kept the puck into Joe Murphy. Roenick's out front. Goulet parks in front of the net now. Roenick gets the puck on the boards. Weinrich over to Chelios. Back to Eric Weinrich. Fakes the shot. Takes the shot. Rebound. They score! Roenick.
For the Winnipeg Jets have had a big workout in this game thus far. The shots from the point, somebody like Jeremy Roenick off to the side, Michel Goulet in front. That rebound comes out. Jeremy Roenick is on his forehand side, and so it makes pretty easy takings right there.
Second goal in 2.5 minutes with a 2-man advantage. So the power play continues for another minute and 14 seconds as Roenick gets his 29 from Weinrich and Chelios at 11:15.
Now Jeremy gives it the real pump with the right arm, because those goals haven't come as easily this year, because it's been difficult for Daryl Sutter to find matches that can play with Jeremy Roenick the way that Steve Larmer did.
Chelios dumped the puck in as this power play continues. It's 2-0 Chicago. Chelios and Roenick have scored with Chicago holding a two-man advantage. Chelios. Krivokrasov. To Jeff Shantz. And the puck bounces high in the air and all the way out to center. Jeff Shantz out of the Western League. Gets the puck in. Weinrich. Chelios to Shantz. Couldn't make it settle down. Dubinsky's working hard in front of the net. Stefan Matteau is there as well as the puck is cleared the length of the ice by the Winnipeg penalty killers, who are overworked in this first period. Kennedy hit hard by Weinrich at center. Dean Kennedy, big solid defenseman, was knocked down. Here's Ruutu. Fakes the shot, goes outside. The centering pass. Matteau couldn't get to it. Chipped on goal by Greg Smith. And Bob Essenza hangs on. Remarkably, with all these power plays, the shots are only 8-2 Hawks, but it's 2-0 on this Molson hockey telecast.
At Mr. Sub, fresh thinking is what we are.
At TD Bank, we guarantee fast service. In fact, we'll give you $5 if you wait in a teller line more than 5 minutes. That leaves 55 minutes of your lunch hour to go to the park and feed the birds. TD, your bank, your way.
Time for a quick update from the Coliseum, Quebec City. 2-0 Quebec leading St. Louis. Here's a rebound for former Blue Bob Baston. He beats his old teammate Curtis Joseph. And the Nordiques have a 3-0 lead on the Blues in the second.
Welcome back to Chicago Stadium, where the Blackhawks on the power play have built a 2-0 lead with 7:26 left in the first period. I'm Jim Houston with Gary Green on the NHL tonight. And these teams are both at full strength now. There hasn't been much of this play. 5-on-5 in the first period.
The way they're going at each other, there might not be much of this for long either, Jim.
But the Blackhawks have the early lead that they wanted in the first period, and hopes that a team like Winnipeg on a 16-game winless streak would roll over. We'll see if they do.
There they go.
Steve Smith and Ty Domi. Oh! Steve Smith of the Blackhawks and Ty Domi of the Jets. And Smith is hurt and very slow to get back up.
Steve Smith got the first one in, but Ty Domi just connected with one solid punch.
That was one of the quickest NHL fights you'll ever see.
Steve Smith just got caught off balance, and Ty Domi, whose job it is most of the time is to fight, was ready for what he wanted to do. He was the guy that wanted to fight Steve Smith, and Steve Smith didn't want to back down. Ty Domi got his stick up, high on Smith, wants to fight Smith, so Smith's willing to take him on. Now watch, Steve Smith now is just going to lose his balance right there, and that's when Ty Domi caught him with the left.
Smith missed with his right and then fell right into the punch from Domi. And so Steve Smith gets some help to the Chicago dressing room. We'll go off for this update from Pittsburgh.
Where it is 2-1, the Penguins leading the Mighty Ducks as Joe Sacco goes in on the breakaway, beating Tom Barrasso right there. And it's all even second period. Anaheim and Pittsburgh 2-2.
5 minutes for fighting.
Domi and Smith each get 5 minutes for fighting, but the Blackhawks have lost at least temporarily their number 2 defenseman.
It's a dangerous set of steps to go down to as well, especially when you're woozy.
2:45 into this game, and a lot of events have taken place. A parade of penalties that have allowed the Blackhawks to take a 2-0 lead. But there's been lots of fireworks, and we'll keep our eyes peeled for more.
Well, Steve Smith is a very well-liked player on his hockey club, so I think that's just going to spark more of what we've seen in this game thus far.
Cam Russell and Chris King. Russell drives King into the boards, and there's going to be another one? No. Chris King backs off. Cam Russell wanted to go. And Cam Russell will take a roughing penalty here, having tried to goad Chris King into a fight.
I'll give Chris King lots of credit right there for holding his cool and giving his team an opportunity on the power play, something that's been unusual for them tonight, especially as of late. King saw Russell coming. Russell knew what he wanted to do right then, and just good discipline on King's part.
So Winnipeg will get a power play here at 13:10 of the first period, trailing 2-0.
Chris King's probably thinking another time, Cam, but right now we're down by a couple, so our job's to put the puck in the net.
Alexei Zamnov is out on the power play. Keith Tkachuk and Darren Shannon have joined him. Emerson and Wayne McBean are the point men on the Winnipeg power play. Chelios pinned to the boards by Tkachuk. Chelios got the puck up the middle, kept in by Wayne McBean. Darren Shannon is there. Relayed around the boards by Tkachuk to Zamnov. Alexei Zamnov moves out front, tried to play the puck to the point, and it went off Roenick, stick to center. Stolen by Murphy. He's on a breakaway. Marker 3-0 Chicago.
Oh, that's a tough one for the Jets. Brings some revenge for Steve Smith, but on the other hand, the Jets just fall behind even deeper on the chance that they finally had to get back into this hockey game. Murphy made a nice move. He pulled that puck from behind, just kept it in front of him, and kept his feet moving quick enough to get the lead.
An unassisted goal, although Roenick getting a piece of the puck really allowed it to get out to Joe Murphy, because McBean couldn't handle it after Roenick tipped it. Power play, though, continues for the Jets, although they trail 3-0 now. In front of the net, John LeBlanc tried to hack the puck by Belfour and couldn't.
Chelios just whips that puck down. This is the type of game that Chris Chelios really loves to play in.
Here's Stefan Gintel, gains center and fires the puck in. Rich Sutter, checked by Thomas Steen. And the puck is cleared the length of the ice by Eric Weinrich, and then took a bump from Roenick. Roenick made that as the puck went wide of a gaping net with Essenza roaming.
Rich Sutter knew what he wanted to do. It was a smart, quick reflex on his part. He couldn't direct the puck in the right place.
25 seconds left in the penalty to Cam Russell. And this Winnipeg power play, Keith Tkachuk stopped at the blue line, turned back by Weinrich and Dubinsky.
Weinrich has really played a solid first period, standing guys up at the blue line, being very aggressive.
Sergei Boutin. His pass to Tkachuk. Penalty has almost expired to Russell. Kuchera got the puck to center. Penalty's over. Russell's back on the ice. Frank Kuchera has it. Chelios. Nice pass to Dubinsky, and he couldn't handle it. Steve Dubinsky, the Clarkson Golden Knights, U.S. college player, just recently called up. Here's Zamnov, misfire, trying to shoot. Chris King has the puck. In behind the net, Nelson Emerson trying to center. Double teamed. Kuchera comes over for the puck. He's checked by Zamnov. Out of the corner comes Emerson. He turns and fires the puck into the boards to Chris King. Chelios will try and come out the other side. With just over 4 minutes left in the first period, 3-0 Chicago. There's Jeremy Roenick. Stops, tried to feed Noonan, couldn't get the pass through. Ulanov starts out. Chris King at center, flips the puck in on Belfort. Eric Weinrich used the net as a pick and starts out. Roenick tried to flip the puck to a streaking Michel Goulet and couldn't quite get it through. Back the other way, Luciano Borsato flips the puck in, Belfort. There's a third defenseman, stopped it, played it up to Roenick. Speeding through center, Roenick in the slot, shoots, Essenza makes the save and hangs on. Jeremy Roenick's on fire. The Blackhawks have 2 power play goals in a short-handed margin. At least 3-0 on the NHL tonight.
Hey, this new Pepsi Max is really something, huh?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, well, it tastes of regular cola and a third of the calories.
I'll grab that for a second.
Yeah, sure. What are you doing? I want to see if they filled it up a third.
Can't you just enjoy the taste
It's the only way to explain this calorie thing.
You're not going to open it, are you?
Oh, don't worry. You see, the lower pressure created by the chilling will keep the expansionary forces of the carbon dioxide at bay.
Who's going to open it?
It's elementary.
New Pepsi Max.
Oh, jeez.
All the taste, 1/3 the calories.
I got my first hockey stick when I was 2. A year later, my dad gave me my first pair of skates. Haven't taken them off since. In fact, a lot of people have helped me along the way. My family, coaches, teammates. Teamwork is also a big part of Thrifty Car Rental. They're dedicated and they're fair.
For instance, pick up a roomy Chrysler Concorde for only $49.99 a day.
Thrifty, official rental car of the NHL and Wayne Gretzky.
Jeremy Roenick has had jets on his skates tonight.
Boy, he's really been on fire. Watch this move. He makes a quick stop, puts on the brakes because he knows he's got that puck in a perfect scoring position.
3-0 Chicago. A shot from the point was almost tipped in by Essenza, and he squeezed it. Cam Russell got it away.
The concern that Daryl Sutter has had is keeping Jeremy Roenick, you know, all fired up every game because it's been a tough year. Roenick not being able to come up with the right type of wingers and production that he's been accustomed to.
The coach and the star player have seemingly waged war in the print media at times this season as well over the style of play.
But they apparently have resolved that, and everything is a little happier around Chicago Stadium and the Blackhawks now.
Had a good face-to-face meeting and got it all out.
I think one's as stubborn as the other.
Yeah. And competitive as the other.
Absolutely. You wouldn't want them any other way.
The shots on goal are now 11-2 in favor of the Hawks. The power play goals against didn't seem to deter the Jets. Maybe the shorthanded goal hurt. Stefan Quintel pushed to the boards by Chelios in the slot. Steen to Roenick. 2 chances, hit the side of the net, they score. On the third opportunity, John LeBlanc banked the puck in, and it's 3-1 Hawks.
Kind of an unlikely hero right now, and hero being someone that can just simply get you on the scoreboard and maybe out of this first period with a little bit of confidence. LeBlanc was from behind the net in a terrible scoring position, but he just ended up picking up the loose puck and batting it out in front. Out in front meant hitting Belfort and bouncing in. They'll take it.
John LeBlanc's a 30-year-old from Campbellton, New Brunswick. He played in Vancouver in the mid and late 80s, played a little bit in Edmonton. The last couple of years he's been with Winnipeg in the minors. 2 goals in 3 games since his call-up. And the Jets are on the board.
Winnipeg goal is the second of the season, scored by number 37, John LeBlanc. Assisted by number 21.
Well, this gives the Winnipeg Jets maybe a little bit of encouragement that the style of game that they came out to play was worthwhile and is worthwhile, provided they can stay out of the penalty box, use a little bit of discipline, and still go back to the intensity and forechecking they displayed earlier in this period.
LeBlanc from Roenick and Steen at 17:27. So a 2-goal lead for Chicago, and here they come out of their own zone. Michel Goulet playing with Matteau and Rutu in after the puck. Keith Tkachuk hit on the boards by Matteau. Rutu and Boughton fight for the puck. Luciano Borsato playing with Tkachuk and Emerson. Moves it ahead to the young captain Tkachuk. Nelson Emerson, drop pass. Kennedy's quick shot, they score! Deflected in front, and it's a 1-goal game.
Well, Kennedy shot that puck from the point, but it was definitely deflected. It changed directions. Emerson was in front. Belfour may not have much a chance on this.
Watch Emerson go to the net.
Gets his stick right there, changes the direction, and it went right between Eddie the Eagle's paths.
Eddie's signaling high stick, but this is definitely not over the crossbar.
Not a chance. It was, in fact, a pretty low stick.
Good things happen when you go to the net, right, Greener?
Absolutely. And the Jets have done that well in this game when they've been capable of going to the net by playing even strength.
Nelson Emerson gets his 24th, and it's 3-2 Chicago. We're down to the last minute and a half in period number 1. Jamnov with a shot, and it's through the uprights.
Winnipeg goal is 24th of the season.
And over the glass, out of play.
Number 19, Nelson Emerson. Assisted by number 26, Dean Kennedy. And number 7,
well, Emerson is one of the players that we mentioned earlier in this period that is without question the nucleus of this Winnipeg Jets hockey club whenever anybody talks about rebuilding.
Nelson Emerson's been a great player since he came over from St. Louis in the Housley deal. So they got some more depth at forward and a fine player, but they lost Housley, and they've really missed that from their blue line, haven't they?
Yeah, they sure have. And Housley was a player that was capable of skating that puck right out of their own end zone. But Teppo Numminen is a very solid defenseman. And if John Paddock could ever talk players like Boughton and maybe Ulanoff into playing as well as they've played in this first period on a consistent basis night after night in the NHL, then they might not be too bad at all.
Yeah.
But that's the big difficulty, getting players to play night after night the same way.
It was Emerson from Kennedy and Tkachuk at 18-13 to make this a 1-goal game. What a lot of events we've had in the first period of this one. Goals, penalties, and a main event. Won in knockout fashion by Ty Domi.
You talk about players like Ulanoff and Boughton back in the blue line. I don't care how high a caliber of league you've played in the past. Coming to the National Hockey League is a huge adjustment itself for anyone that doesn't speak the language well. And then on top of that, night after night, flying across North America, playing games, and having to play it at the intensity level that's expected of you is a tough task. And it's something that takes time. I don't know whether the Winnipeg Jets and John Paddock are prepared to spend that amount of time in order to develop that consistency.
Although you wonder if they might be better off in the long run to invest the time in those players because they're not bad defensemen sometimes.
And they've got some size and strength. It's not as though they're small, skilled defensemen. They're big, skilled defensemen.
There's Ulanoff taking a long run at Frank Kuchera and threw his weight at him again. We're in the last minute of the first period, 3-2 Chicago. Stefan Quintel. He had Jeff Shantz flailing his body at him. Ulanoff. Jocelyn Lemieux took a run at him, so you see Ulanoff's got the Blackhawks' attention tonight. In comes Jocelyn Lemieux, spun away from Ulanoff, passes to Weinrich, chipped to the right wing. Roenick flies into the play again. He blew a tire and fell into the boards, but he's back up. Chelios trying to center. He's checked by Russ Romanoff. Into the last 10 seconds of the period, Emerson trying to come out of his own zone, carrying the puck. Great save by Esserza. Loose puck in front, and time runs out. Nelson Emerson almost coughed up the puck at the wrong time, but Bob Essenza saved the day, and what a fitting end to a fine period for frantic action.
And for a guy whose goals just don't come too easy, Noonan ends up in front. He goes to the net right there. He's looking for the loose puck after Jeremy Roenick had been standing there trying to get a handle on it. Just couldn't. What a period.
two struggling teams really fired up tonight, trying to get it going. Here's what's coming up in the NHL tonight. Well, there's so much action, we'll devote all of our time to bringing you right up to date. The scores, the highlights, all the events from the other NHL venues. John Wells and Bob McKenzie are next to the NHL tonight.
Celebration of the Winter Olympic Games.
Oh, she's fallen a couple times. Come on, hon, let's break for lunch.
McDonald's brings you Olympic Twist Fries. Crisp, golden, lightly seasoned spirals are February's taste of the month. McDonald's Olympic Twist Fries. Inspiration with a twist. This month only.
We're opening a new door in Midas Car Care with a little twist on lube and oil service. Until February 28th, your car's old oil is actually worth something. Double Club Z points. For lube and oil service plus Double Club Z points, trust your car to Midas.
Kathy?
Mr. Home Runs at the plate.
What are you going to have for dinner? That's easy. Big chunks of chicken, rice, vegetables. The question is... What are you going to eat it with? Chunky, the soup that eats like a man.
He took one stolen car.
Hang on!
Two wrong turns. And a beautiful hostage. Charlie Sheen, Christy Swanson, The Chase.
This could actually work.
Starts Friday, March 4th at theaters everywhere.
From now on, these will give you the world's closest shave. They're called microfins, and they're only on the new Gillette Sensor XL. These microfins precede the blades. As Sensor XL's spring-mounted blades adjust to your face, these soft, flexible fins gently stretch your skin, so your beard stands up for the closest, most comfortable shave ever. Get closest. Get the new Gillette Sensor XL.
From Hockey Control, this is the NHL Tonight. Let's get to other action now. Never any love lost when the Hudson River rivals meet. Rangers and the Devils for the 5th time this season. The Rangers have won the previous 4 as we go to the highlights now. First period, Ranger power play. Mark Messier feeds Sergei Zubov. He won times it past Martin Brodeur. Rangers take a 1-0 lead.
And the Rangers get back on the power play. This time, though, they get a little careless in their own end. John McLean pats over to Bernie Nichols. But Mike Richter stands his ground.
Here's the highlight of the game so far. Nichols steals the puck from Brian Leach. He drops it for John McLean. McLean waits for Richter to go down, and that ties the game at 1.
That's John McLean's 29th goal of the year. Brian Leach just stripped of the puck by Bernie Nichols. Not one of your better-known forecheckers, but a nice play to McLean. Great comeback here for McLean, who missed most of last year with reconstructive knee surgery.
Second period, it's 1-1. Messier shovels to Adam Graves, and Graves blasts home his 43rd of the year. Rangers a 2-1 lead through 2 periods there. How about Adam Graves, number 43 on the season?
Career year.
In other scores, it is Florida trailing Washington 1-0. Not much has happened there except for the Randy Burridge goal first period.
No, and in the second period, the wire service is reporting Florida not one single shot on goal.
Flyers have come back to take the lead with 3 goals in a row. Lindros, Recchi, and Galley for a 3-2 lead on the Islanders. And fun times in the Eastern playoff race. Mac, what happens if the Panthers beat out the Flyers for a playoff spot?
Well, never mind just the Flyers. Look at the Flyers, the Islanders, Tampa Bay, and just off the map a little bit there, 1 point behind Tampa Bay are the Quebec Nordiques. I'll tell you what, there are going to be big things happening if those 4 teams miss. Tampa Bay is probably the only one where there wouldn't be major changes in store when you look at the Philadelphia Flyers. I don't know if Terry Simpson will make it to the end of the season if Philadelphia doesn't close the gap on them, and I think for sure Pierre Pagé is going to have to come out from behind the bench unless they make the playoffs. So big impact. Maybe the Islanders, Don Maloney maybe on thin ice, I don't know.
And the Nordiques currently 11 points out of the playoff race as it stands right now, but they're flying tonight. Tell you about that in just a moment. Live from Hockey Control, this is the NHL Tonight. After one at the stadium in Chicago, the Jets have come back to narrow the gap to a goal. It's 3-2, Hawks leading Winnipeg.
Picture something cold, immaculate, brewed in Canada with no preservatives, and yet still one of a kind.
you get up.
Any skates?
There's a place that's always fresh and ready for you. Your neighborhood, Tim Hortons, where the coffee's always 20 minutes fresh.
Up early, boss?
And the donuts and muffins and cookies are made right in the kitchen.
Careful, it's hot.
Because at Tim Hortons, always fresh is a promise we always keep. And it's all about dedication. But then, you know all about that. Something wild is happening to men's grooming. Now, the Gillette series of high-performance products comes in an invigorating new scent. Wild Rain, the newest fragrance of the Gillette series.
Snack attack, snack attack.
Looks like a job for Captain Nibbler.
Packs of 5 singles to McCain cheese nibblers, good for you. Zap that snack attack, everyone agree. Nothing tastes quite like real cheese.
Your whole family will love the delicious, nutritious taste of McCain Cheese Nibblers, the satisfying snack that comes in all their favorite varieties.
Zap that snack attack, pick a pack today. McCain cheese nibblers, what do you say?
Zap that snack attack.
José Chouinard, 1994 Canadian figure skating champion.
My hair's dry to begin with, and skating makes it worse. I've tried some 2-in-1s, but they just didn't give me enough condition.
Herd Plus brings you a 2-in-1 breakthrough. Extra conditioning for dry, damaged hair. It conditions twice. First, it conditions all over. Then it sends extra conditioning to damaged areas.
So if you have dry hair and want it to be more manageable, try Herd Plus Extra Conditioning. It's breakthrough care for dry, damaged hair.
Welcome back to Hockey Control in the NHL tonight. Still early to assess the Blues Nordiques trade, but on recent performance, St. Louis has a 3-game win streak going in. Quebec has won just 3 of the last 10, but the Nordiques are hot this night. Mac, Sakic, LaPointe, Bassin.
Blowing them away, and Curtis Joseph, you don't very often see him down on the ice like this, just getting pelted. Shot after shot.
Yeah, moving along, another shutout rolling along here with the Red Wings leading the Whalers. Not as big a surprise there. Lidstrom, Primo, and Kozlov in a 3-0 Detroit lead on the Hartford Whalers. Right now, we're going to take you to the Brendan Byrne Arena at the Meadowlands and pick up action in the third period between the Rangers and the Devils. Pretty good hockey game going here with the Rangers leading 2-1. Messier has 2 assists.
Going down on Brodeur, he really did hurt himself. He had a hard time getting up right away. And just after that, he had to go down. I'm not sure exactly what it is, whether it's, you know, it'd be tough to speculate. I mean, obviously it's his leg or knee or ankle or at some point in the lower section, but he's telling Scott Stevens, you know, get the training staff. And now Chris Terreri's got to come in stone cold. And for the 3rd time this year against the New York Rangers, Martin Brodeur will not finish the game. He was pulled. I was wrong before. He was pulled twice against the Rangers. Now here comes Terreri, who played last night. A great game against the Detroit Red Wings. And he comes in here. The neat thing about Chris Terreri, he's a very flexible goaltender. He's a very sharp goaltender in terms of his mental status. And he's the kind of guy that can come in here, unlike a lot of guys that need a lot of preparation, and be ready. This could be the play in which he got hurt with his right knee. Nah, Dad, it's hard to say. You know, it's so tough to say in that situation. I mean, I've been in a situation where I pulled a hamstring in that position, but it didn't look like that was the case.
Dumas controls the face-off for the New York Rangers. Here is Messier. Gets a quick one away on Terreri. You know the Rangers want to try and test Terreri with a lot of shots right away. Used to be, several years ago, you could come in and you could take some warm-up shots to get loose. Can't do that anymore.
No, and that hurts. You know, I know the coaches use that as a strategy, but boy, for a goaltender, I mean, that was a big plus, feeling some pucks.
Terreri leaves it for Stevens. Chart. First McLean. Here's Richer. Richer shoots. Richter the save. Rebound. And it is wide. Oh, my goodness. Bobby Carpenter was right there on the doorstep. Niedermeyer with a shot. He hits the outside of the post. Quick flurry by New Jersey. Here's Tom Chorsky with it. The New Jersey crowd now starting to get into the game. Carpenter taken down by Messier. Starting to say it's been a tough night on the Devils injury-wise. You had McLean, an accidental puck on the forehead. He still hasn't returned. And now Martin Brodeur. McLean may return now, we understand. He's still getting stitched up in that Devil locker room. Here's Valerie Zalapukin. Looks to go short side. It's the side of the net. Now the New York Rangers clear the zone, and as Scott Niedermeyer touches up icing on the Rangers, face-off deep.
From Hockey Control, this is the NHL Tonight. Back to Chicago in just a moment. After 1 at the stadium there, the Blackhawks lead the Jets 3-2. This is the NHL Tonight.
Before you look into mutual funds, look into TD's new planning guide and customized investment that gives you just the right level of comfort, no matter what your age, income, or hat size. TD, your bank, your way.
Here on the set, when the lights come up and the camera starts to roll, there's no place to hide. My hair has to look great. Even one plate is one too many for me. That's why I use Head & Shoulders. Put it to the test. Prove it to yourself. Because great hair can't have flakes.
Head & Shoulders and Head & Shoulders 2-in-1. Dandruff care for great-looking hair.
Sir, the superstars from Pittsburgh and L.A. are still holding, and your son's hockey coach is on line 3.
Tell them my hockey news just arrived. I'll be with them when I'm finished.
When you need to know what's happening in the hockey world, you'll find it in the pages of the Hockey News. Get 42 big issues of the Hockey News delivered to your door for just $49.95. Call 1-800-287-1300. Know the score with hockey's only authority, the Hockey News.
The superstars and your son's coach understand completely, sir.
Order now. Operators are waiting for your call.
Snack attack, snack attack.
Looks like a job for Captain Nibbler.
Packs of 5 singles to McCain Cheese Nibbler's good for you. Zap that snack attack, everyone agree. Nothing tastes quite like real cheese.
Your whole family will love the delicious, nutritious taste of McCain Cheese Nibblers, the satisfying snack that comes in all their favorite varieties.
Zap that snack attack, pick a pack today. McCain Cheese Nibblers, what do you say?
Zap that snack attack.
Rugby fans, look out. It's coming at you hard and fast. TSN brings home the Five Nations Rugby Tournament. Wales tackles France. Sunday morning on Real TV. TSN.
From Hockey Control, the NHL Tonight in Pittsburgh this evening, the Battle of the Birds is Anaheim in town to play the Penguins. Sean McEachran has his second goal since returning to the Pittsburgh Penguins in this one.
A lot of people wonder, why did the Pittsburgh Penguins trade Marty McSorley, get Thomas Sansom and Sean McEachran? You can see why tonight. Mario Lemieux out with a bad back. Rick Tocchet out with a bad back. This gives them some depth up front. They still need to make a move for defensemen, but McEachran and Sandstrom, two important pieces of the puzzle for the Penguins right now.
Yeah, and that game is 2-2. They're playing now in the third period in Pittsburgh. The Penguins and the Mighty Ducks even there. Ottawa has moved out in front of San Jose. It's 4-3 as the Senators continue to sail. Well, at least they're winning at this stage of things. And just getting underway, it is Tampa Bay in Calgary. They're nicely into the first period in that one. In our game, live from Chicago Stadium, it is the Chicago Blackhawks leading the Jets 3-2 through 2. And we'll continue in just moments.
There are times in sport when a team achieves something so exceptional, they tower above the competition. A League of Their Own is brought to you by Super Nintendo's NHL Stanley Cup. It's the ultimate power play. A game so realistic, it's in a league of its own. In 1993, the Toronto Maple Leafs gave their fans new hope. Toronto then started the 93-94 season with 9 consecutive victories. But for a record-breaking 10th win, the Leafs would have to overcome a 4-year winless jinx in Chicago. The Blackhawks took the early lead, but Toronto rallied for a 4-2 win, establishing a new NHL record and putting themselves in a league of their own. A League of Their Own has been brought to you by Super Nintendo's NHL Stanley Cup. It's the ultimate power play. A game so realistic, it's in a league of its own.
Great look. Beautiful hair.
And only weeks ago, she came to my salon with a problem. Dandruff.
So I showed her what Head & Shoulders can do. We washed half her hair with ordinary shampoo, the other half with Head & Shoulders. With regular use of ordinary shampoo, the flakes come back. But with regular use of Head & Shoulders, look, no more flakes. Looking good, Sally.
Thanks to you.
Head & Shoulders. Dandruff care for great-looking hair.
Tonight's first period scoring summary brought to you by McDonald's. What you want is what you get at McDonald's today. First three go to the Blackhawks. Chelios got his 13th. Roenick chipping in there at 11-15. Same combination with Roenick getting his 29th goal of the season. Joe Murphy, unassisted and shorthanded, got his 22nd to make it 3-0 Hawks. Then the Jets came back. First John LeBlanc from Steen and Roenick, then Nelson Emerson from Kennedy and Tkachuk. 13-6, the shots on goal in the opening period favoring the Blackhawks, and we're ready for the second period. Jim Houston and Gary Green.
It's been all-out war here, including this battle between Domi and Smith. What's Steve Smith's left leg when he's hit by Ty Domi? When he was hit, it buckled underneath him, and that's where he was injured.
Unfortunately, Ty Domi got a couple of free shots at him after he went down, but they're really concerned now with Steve Smith's leg. They put him on a stretcher, took him away from the building by ambulance, and he'll go for x-rays.
Their number 2 defenseman, Steve Smith, leaving the building on a stretcher. Obviously finished for this game, and we hope not too many more.
The hit by Ty Domi, or the punch that did it to him, it was unfortunately the way that his lower leg buckled.
Lower part of his left leg, and that's the area they're concerned about as they wheel him off on a stretcher to hospital. Meantime, the second period is underway here. Joe Murphy has the puck as he moves in and past it, and Nelson Emerson intercepted. Keith Tkachuk shoots, and Belfour makes the save. And this second period has started the way the first one left off. Frantic action. 3-2, the Blackhawks lead. Here's Quintel with a blast up high that hits someone in front, Eric Weinrich. And Weinrich is down on the ice hurt. That didn't hit Ed Belfour. It hit defenseman Eric Weinrich. The high shot from Stefan Quintel. And another Blackhawk defenseman is injured.
Here comes the shot. Now watch Weinrich. Whoa. He was out scrambling with Belfour to stop the puck. He stopped it all right. He got a good piece of that puck.
You know, you don't see any visors on the Blackhawks, but Eric Weinrich wore one before he moved to Chicago.
Brought to you in part by TD Bank. TD, your bank, your way.
It's been a very good and spirited game, but it's been very costly to the Chicago Blackhawks with Steve Smith and now Eric Weinrich. 2 of their top 3 defensemen out of the game.
And Weinrich, we talked about him a lot in the first period because he was really playing such a solid game for Coach Darryl Sutter. Standing up, making some big checks, playing well in his own end zone.
He's a great passer, and on the power play works so nicely with Chelios and had a couple of assists. Chris Chelios and Jeremy Roenick both played just about all of the first period, didn't they? And Roenick had 5 shots on goal.
I would imagine that they played about 14 minutes of that first period, and boy, that is a lot.
Chicago had 5 power plays and scored on 2 of them. 3 times they had a 2-man advantage. And Roenick and Chelios are on the ice all the time on the power play.
Now, both of those players love it, though. They can take a lot of ice time. They're great skaters. And they both are so intense that they just love playing in games like this.
Here's Goulet racing after Wayne McBean. McBean can't shake Goulet. Christian Ruutu gets the puck in behind the net. Ruutu reverses on the boards for Goulet, who's checked. Stefan Matteau was tied up by Thomas Dean, and Dean Kennedy comes up with the puck. Can't move it out over the blue line. Ruutu kept it in.
Chelios is so smart that way. He just anticipates what's going to happen and moves up in the play. He's got great confidence at it.
Pinched in again. Now he's getting back. John LeBlanc, who scored a goal here for Winnipeg, dumps the puck in. Roenick, hit by Russ Roenick. Frank Kuchera gives the puck to Chelios. He's bumped by Roenick, who's made a few hits in this game. And this one knocked a pane of glass out in the end of the ring.
A little bit of everything tonight, and this has been such a hard-hitting game, the glass just couldn't take it any longer.
3-2, Chicago leads Winnipeg. In a game filled with penalties, hard hits, power play goals, shorthanded goals. Chris Chelios has been the center of attention, as always, because he's always on the ice. He always draws opponents' attention. And, you know, sometimes when you have a player like this, you have to take the package as you see it, as Daryl Sutter does, because Chelios will do things like take bad penalties on occasion. And Daryl Sutter knows that and lives with it. And here's what he says about Chris Chelios.
He says that Bob Clark was just like him when he played, and he was skilled, but the biggest jerk on the ice. Now, I don't know how they could say that about Bob Clark. He wasn't a jerk, but boy, I'll tell you what, he was one intense player, and he was a lot like Chris Chelios.
But that's telling it like it is, and that's the way players like Daryl Sutter on the ice felt about Bobby Clark, and that's the way players who are on the ice against Chris feel about him. But as is always the case, he's calm, cool, and collected, and one of the great guys off the ice.
Well, there wasn't a game that Bob Clark ever played in that he didn't want to win at any cost out there. And he gritted what teeth he had in order to play the game. Chris Chelios does a lot the same.
How do you think Bob would feel about a game like this one, being in it?
Oh, he'd just love it. Drives him crazy, I think, seeing a game like this, not being able to participate in it.
To Alexei Zhamnov. Ty Domi has served as fighting major and is out on the ice. Shot by Zhamnov, reeled in by Ed Belfour, with Darren Shannon right in his crease. And now we'll see if Ty Domi is the center of attention now that he's returned from the penalty box.
Well, Daryl Sutter is making his lineup change right now. His line changes, I should say, and it's no surprise that Cam Russell is coming out onto the ice.
And Russell went right over, skated by, and had a few words for Domi, or was he talking to Chris Chelios?
I'm sure he was talking strategy off this face-off with Chelios, Jim.
Switch sides so I can play against Domi. The puck drifts down into the Winnipeg zone, and 18,000 people in this building are watching Domi and Russell.
And wondering the same thing we're wondering. When?
That really is the question. Roenick's having a great game, and he just threw a hit that hit more boards than Ulanov, but man, he's flying and throwing his body around. Domi and Russell are at close quarters at the blue line. Domi took a shot at Chelios. Good hit by Russell. He just decked Quintel, and the penalty will go to Cam Russell. Domi comes over to speak with Russell after the hit on Stefan Quintel. Russell didn't get Domi, but he blasted Quintel, and he gets a penalty for it. What a hit. There's more to come. We'll be back with another round in this battle in just a moment.
I got my first hockey stick when I was 2. A year later, my dad gave me my first pair of skates. Haven't taken them off since. In fact, a lot of people have helped me along the way. My family, coaches, teammates. Teamwork is also a big part of Thrifty Car Rental. They're dedicated and they're fair.
For instance, pick up a roomy Chrysler Concorde for only $49.99 a day.
Thrifty, official rental car of the NHL and Wayne Gretzky.
Let's have a look at hits number 700 and 701 in this game. First, Jeremy Roenick.
Well, Roenick throws a pretty good check right here. He gets more, in fact, most of the boards, but the poor goal judge, it almost knocked him right out of his box. And it just shook the whole end boards and glass.
Then watch this. Russell decks Stefan Quintel, and he got an elbowing penalty, but I'm not so sure that he got an elbow up. It looked like a pretty good hit.
If anything, he got his fist up, but I didn't see an elbow.
Russell for elbowing at 2:28 of the second period puts Winnipeg on the power play. The Jets are 0 for 3 with the man advantage so far. And they've closed the gap to 3-2 after falling behind 3-0. Thomas Dean, Russ Roenick. John LeBlanc, the forwards on the power play. Boris Mironov and Nelson Emerson are the point men. To Boris Mironov. John LeBlanc brings the puck around in the boards. Christian Ruutu, a good penalty killer, scoops the puck off the boards down the ice. And Ruutu and Matteau, the first two forwards to kill the penalty, get a chance to take a break, and Jeremy Roenick and Joe Murphy come on. Chelios fell down, moving up to check LeBlanc, but Roenick bailed him out by intercepting a pass. Thomas Dean gains the blue line, high in the slot, double team. Jeremy Roenick steals the puck. Feeds Murphy. Shoots, and he missed the net.
Emerson just got his stick on that shot just as Murphy was shooting it.
More than a minute gone in the penalty to Cam Russell. Emerson gave the puck away to Michel Goulet, who dumps it in and sends the power play back. 3-2 Chicago in the early stages of the second period at Chicago Stadium. Winnipeg Jets are on their fourth power play of the night. Alexei Zhamnov flips the puck in the air. It hit Kachuk and dropped down in the neutral zone, and Zhamnov is back to get it. Dropped it off for Nelson Emerson. In the middle, McBean's shot. That's blocked by Rich Sutter, and Goulet gets the puck. With 15 seconds to go, and the penalty to Russell. Neil Wilkinson off the boards and down into the Winnipeg zone. Wayne McBean is back. Long pass hit the skate of Emerson. Darren Shannon goes to it and flips it in. Belfort plays the puck. McBean cut it off on the left side. Russell is back on the ice. Here's Kennedy with a shot, and he whistled it just wide of the net. And the puck bounces to the Winnipeg zone. The Blackhawks are back at full and even strength.
Good intention by Kennedy, though. It was a good, hard, low drive. Just missed the net.
Sergei Krivokrasov, number 55, a diminutive Russian player on the ice. He's playing with Dubinsky and Shantz, this new young line of players who were together playing on the farm in Indianapolis for Chicago.
Well, his couple of shifts in the first period were pretty short ones.
He may have looked at, saw what was going on the ice and thought, do they always play like this in the NHL? Quick shift for the kid line, the ice line. Eagles, checked by Chelios. They push and shove at the side of the net. Jocelyn Lemieux. Chelios hit by King at center. Lemieux whistled a wrist shot just wide of the net. Christian Ruutu kept the puck in for Stefan Matteau. He's checked by Ulanov. And Randy Gillen tried to clear the puck and couldn't against Christian Ruutu. Chelios at center. Backs up into his own zone and just played the puck through the neutral zone. Here's Igor Ulanov. Chris King. Down to the boards. Jocelyn Lemieux gets the puck to the inboards. Greg Smith moves in. His centering pass hit Bob Essensa and bounced to the inboards. Stefan Quintel takes over. Up the middle, kept in by the Blackhawks. Jocelyn Lemieux. Matteau wanted the puck and didn't get it. Lemieux barges in behind the net. Ran over Luciano Borsato. They lost the puck, and it's cleared.
Quintel gave him a dangerous pass right up the middle.
Keith Tkachuk. Nelson Emerson back to Tkachuk. Bouncing puck, Borsato goes after it. He shoots just wide of the net. Belfort trying to reel in the rebound off the boards and can't. Ryan Noonan was there for him, though, ahead to Jeremy Roenick. Crisscrossing with Joe Murphy at center. Roenick over the blue line for Noonan. He shoots and missed the net. Noonan missed the net on a setup from Roenick. It's still 3-2 Hawks. Ryan Noonan. Into Jeremy Roenick, who's flying tonight. His centering pass was blocked. In behind the net, Noonan had the puck get by him. Joe Murphy goes after it to the point for Cam Russell, and the pass breezed by him down the ice. 7.5 minutes into the second period, 3-2 Hawks. Blackhawks are playing without defensemen Steve Smith and Eric Weinrich, both injured in the game. Emerson pushed and knocked down from behind, alone in front. Russ Roenick shot the puck wide. Turned and shot the puck wide, and now there's a Blackhawk penalty for holding. Winnipeg goes back to the power play in a one-goal game on Molson's NHL tonight when we come back.
Picture something cold, immaculate. Brewed in Canada with no preservatives. And yet it's still one of a kind.
Before you look into mutual funds, look into TD's new planning guide and customized investment that gives you just the right level of comfort, no matter what your age, income, or hat size. TD, your bank, your way.
Let's slide in a quick update from the Spectrum. 3-3 Flyers Islanders third period, and Philly scramble in front. The loose puck to Andre Faust. Hextall is down and out of the play, and it is 4-3 Philly, leading the Islanders in the third. Jim?
Next Monday night, last day of February on the NHL tonight, a doubleheader from the East. The Toronto Maple Leafs visit the Senators in Ottawa. And afterwards, a rematch for the Stanley Cup final. The Montreal Canadiens against the Kings. Will Wayne be close to breaking Gordy's record? Find out Monday night. All sorts of action in this game on a Thursday night from Chicago.
Well, the Blackhawks are going to have to kill off this penalty now.
Frank Gutierrez off for holding at 7:42. And so Winnipeg's on another power play. Fifth of the night, they're 0 for 4. Second straight power play in this period. Chris King was tripped up, allowing Stefan Matteau to get the puck. Ty Domi's out on the power play, along with Thomas Steen, Nelson Emerson, Chris King, and Boris Mironov. Here's Thomas Steen carrying the puck. Gains the blue line, heads for the net. Knocked off his stick, and King goes after it to the point. Mironov quickly over to Emerson. Quickly to the net. Belfort the save, and the rebound's knocked wide by Steen. Steen again. Shovels the puck out front. And Cam Russell cleared it. 50 seconds gone in the penalty to Kucherov. Domi, centering pass, hit Cam Russell in the legs. Domi goes after it. Behind the net, Darren Shannon. To the point. Domi and Russell matched up, battling each other in front. The shot from the point hit Domi. Domi, centering pass, went right to Russell, and he gets a chance to clear it. Jeremy Roenick at center, shorthanded with Joe Murphy. Oh, almost a beauty, but Nelson Emerson would have none of it. Here's a 3-on-2 for the power play of Winnipeg. Domi, centering pass, tipped between the legs of Alexei Zhamnov. Half a minute to go in Kucherev's penalty. Zhamnov splits the defense, heads for the net, shoots it, stopped by Belfort. Out of the corner, Zhamnov in front, Tkachuk banned on a shot, loose puck. Belfort's frantically trying to get a hold of it and can't. Back to the point, McBean shoots, Belfort the save, the rebound, he stops that too.
The Jets sure had their opportunities, but they continued to go low on Belfort. Belfort was down. There was room up top. But the Jets didn't do it. Shamnoff had his opportunity. Shannon was there with the loose puck. The fans chant for Eddie because he was down and kept it out. Shamnoff made some fantastic moves right here, but he got himself in a little too deep and then couldn't get the puck up. You could see that Belfour was down, though, following him low. That action continued. The Jets were swarming around the Blackhawks. Shamnoff was a big part of it. Shannon right there had his chance, just couldn't get a handle on that puck. Got something else instead, though. I think he got a punch in the mouth.
What action. That's what happens when you've only scored a goal in your last 16. You just can't finish, and Zamnov had that trouble. Power play continues. McBean to the net. A scramble in the slot. Penalty's over. Kuchera's back on the ice. Dean Kennedy checked by Kuchera. Trying to break away. Pushed the puck away, then overskated it. The shots in this period. And we're halfway through it. 8-0 Winnipeg. They've had 2 power plays. They haven't been able to score. It's 3-2. The Hawks lead.
But those 2 quick goals they got at the end of the first period definitely gave them the confidence to come out this way in the second.
What a game. 9:50 to go second period. 3-2 Hawks in the NHL tonight.
Pepsi Max.
It's new. All the taste of regular cola and 1/3 the calories.
Yeah, sure.
Tastes good, that's all I know.
Gull Labo.
Can't you just enjoy it without the analysis, Sigmund?
What do you think stops some crazy bigwig at Pepsi from just printing up a bunch of false labels?
Jail.
Oh, brother, you are so naive.
New Pepsi Max.
Could you get him a fork?
All the taste, 1/3 the calories.
Let's slide in a quick update from the Meadowlands in Jersey. 2-1 Rangers leading the Devils in the third. Point shot Kevin Lowe neatly deflected by Greg Gilbert. That made it 3-1. Folks, that's officially final now. Let's get back to Chicago.
Let's get some junior action on Friday night. Hull Olympics. That's Cam Russell's old team. Pat Burns was the coach there against the Grammy Bisson. Friday night, 7:30 Eastern Time. Paul Roenick, Bob McKenzie, and Gord Miller have all the action on the CHL tonight. Winnipeg Jets dominating the second period are trailing by a goal as Randy Gillen gets set to face off against Jeremy Roenick.
A reliable veteran center iceman for the Winnipeg Jets that is good on face-offs, and he plays a safe shift for you. Good defensively.
And he won the draw from Roenick to Dean Kennedy. Winnipeg power play has just ended, so Winnipeg's 0 for 5 with a man advantage. And they've given up a shorthanded goal. There's their difference in the game. 2 power play goals and a shorthanded goal for the Hawks. Chelios almost knocked off the puck, but recovered to get it out to center, and then it's hammered back in by Igor Ulanov. Thomas Steen to Ulanov. His pass to John LeBlanc with Steen and Roenick. LeBlanc at the side of the net, stopped by Belfour, and Roenick came in to poke at the puck with the little jab after the whistle, and so he got a little jab from Chris Chelios.
The Chelios backed off because he knows now with the Blackhawks in deep trouble back in the blue line that they can't afford to have him sitting in the penalty box. I'm sure that message has been verbally put across by Daryl Sutter. Chris, stay on the ice. We need you.
Daryl, as usual, as you mentioned earlier, dressed 7 defensemen tonight. So he's down to 5 now. Smith has gone to the hospital. And Eric Weinrich hit in the face by a puck and a shot from Stefan Quintel in this period has not returned. Chicago won the draw. Chelios. Jeff Shantz. Steve Dubinsky. Couldn't get the puck out to Rich Sutter at center. Sergei Krivo-Krasov is not playing on the kid line now. Rich Sutter has taken his spot, but Shantz and Dubinsky are getting some ice time. Oh, there was a runaway train Stravinsky tried to run over Ulanov, and he missed, and the goal judge got knocked off his chair again.
That guy might have the most dangerous job in the game tonight.
Hope he doesn't fall backwards down the stairs. Russ Roenick came to blue line to play, was just offside.
Yeah, I think they're checking the aluminum structure here to see how solid and whether there are any cracks in it. Because this guy's pretty worried. He's looking down to see whether there are any cracks in the board. Yeah, he found one too. The boards are starting to fall apart.
Watch and listen to this.
Help! Wonder if he wakes up at night after a game like this, hearing those boards and the glass just ringing in his ears.
Heavy artillery fire. Ed Belfour sharpens his own skates, and he's giving them a little touch-up here. And we're going for an update as Eric Weinrich returns.
4-3, the Flyers leading the Islanders, third period. Uwe Krupp winds up with a point shot. Now, Steve Thomas was in the crease, but he was pushed in. That evens things at 4, and they're in overtime at the Spectrum now.
Eric Weinrich, bloodied and bruised, gets some encouragement from assistant coach Paul Baxter. He's returned to the game after taking 3 stitches. The bruise will hurt a lot more than that.
Looks more like a dozen stitches than 3. That's a pretty long cut that he's got.
And action continues. 8:15 to play, second period, 3-2 Chicago. Two Central Division teams playing for the 6th time this season. And obviously, they've built up a bit of a rivalry over these games they've played. Kachuk hooked his man back and almost poked the puck into the net. And as he touched the puck, an offside was called. It's ruled intentional and comes the length of the ice.
Kachuk's a good, intense hockey player for John Paddock and may not be feeling his best tonight. He doesn't shy away from playing in a game like this.
He's pretty new to the NHL game, but he's good at it, and this team really needs solid veteran leadership, and he's already providing some of that, isn't he?
He sure is, and he's going to be a very good leader for them for a long time down the road, but I think they could use a few more experienced type of players like Kachuk that play the same way, that are capable of playing on the top 2 lines, playing a regular shift, and playing tough and leading in the dressing room.
They and 25 other teams.
Yeah, right.
Solid veteran leadership. Commodity that everybody wants. Russell and Domi, by the way, are on the ice at the same time again, which is...
That's coincidental.
Just to make note, let you know. And as the whistle went, I saw Ty look up over the shoulder of the referee just to take note of where Cam Russell was.
Well, when somebody like Russell and Ty Domi are on the ice, they're just moving targets all the time, and the problem is that they're looking for each other. They're not too worried about any other numbers on the ice.
Ty's gone to the bench, so Cam's gone to the bench. And back on the ice are Jeremy Roenick and Chris Chelios, having great games again. Roenick, Noonan, and Murphy together. Line hasn't had a chance to play together too much tonight because of all the penalties. Steen, LeBlanc, and Roenick. Wes Roenick's had a pretty good game tonight in his 4th game since recall for Winnipeg. Here he comes after the puck. Couldn't quite get it away from Brian Noonan. Eric Weinrich. Wrist shot stopped by Essens on the rebound. They score! JR!
Well, Chicago's glad that Eric Weinrich decided to come back to play. That always amazes hockey fans when they see a player like Weinrich that gets cut up as badly as he did and then comes back out in the ice to play without a face mask. He set this opportunity up. He walked into the Winnipeg zone, got that good wrist shot away, and Roenick, as usual, head for the net.
Jeremy Roenick made it into 50 this year, but he's got 30 for the 4th straight season. Weinrich and Noonan get assists, and Weinrich has 3 points. Roenick has 2 goals. It's 4-2 Chicago. Eric Weinrich to his partner Chris Chelios, and the Blackhawks come out of their own zone. Michel Goulet fires the puck in, and the play's offside.
Well, the Winnipeg Jets need that win in this building tonight because it's going to just get tougher for them as they go home to face a team that's playing awfully well.
Not only the Boston Bruins are playing well, but they're sitting in Winnipeg tonight, feet up, watching this game, and probably noticing that it's a pretty tough physical game for the Jets.
The Jets got robbed, they feel, against the Florida Panthers. John Van Beesbrook, who's done to a lot of teams this year, stoned the Jets, especially in the 3rd period. And then the Jets, who were supposed to have come in yesterday to Chicago, ended up getting stalled in Toronto, so things haven't been going well for them in a lot of ways.
In this period, they've outshot the Blackhawks 9-2, but been outscored 1-0, and trail 4-2 in the game. There's an icing call against the Blackhawks. Jeremy Roenick with his 30th from Weinrich and Noonan at 13-15, the 4th goal of the night for the Hawks.
Roenick has been making complaints this year because this team needs some offense, and you've got to sympathize and understand where Jeremy Roenick is also coming from. I mean, a player's career financially really comes down to that of putting the puck in the net for a player like Roenick. When you want millions and millions of dollars, then you've got to show it on the scoreboard.
Daryl Sutter wants hard work first. Everybody has to play the same way all night long. And he understands Jeremy's frustration.
But at the same time, this team has got to play well defensively in order to win until they get the right amount of offensive players, if that's possible, right now still this season. So that's what's frustrating. Jeremy Roenick has to keep buying into the system.
This old barn, a wild game on the ice. There's fights in the stands. I think the ushers here found a way to stop fighting. They don't try and break them up.
So we advise you, if you come to Chicago Stadium, not to get into one.
Yeah,
you're not going to get a lot of help.
It's not always like that either. Tip in front. Jocelyn Lemieux tipped the puck right on Bob Essensa. And the Blackhawks came very close to making this a 3-goal game again.
Enough excitement in this game to make a guy almost lose his voice. That, I think, went right off of Kennedy's skate.
Hawks 4, Jets 2.
Gonna miss this old organ.
Oh, gonna miss this building.
This building is coming down.
They'll move across the street for next season, and this building will be torn down for a parking lot. Quintel leads the Jets to center, then dumps the puck in. First man back is Joe Murphy.
Nice play on the boards to Eric Weinrich. Ahead to Jeremy Roenick, and he backhands the puck to center. 5 minutes to go, second period, 4-2 Chicago. Kept the puck in front of the net. Shannon turned and shot wide. Domi's taken down. There'll be a penalty here to Eric Weinrich. Winnipeg Jets will go to the power play again. They need their power play to work. It's 0 for 5 and gets its 6th opportunity on the NHL tonight when we come back.
Deep calls. When overworked muscles or back pain hits, ice the pain with the cold treatment recommended by chiropractors. Deep cold therapy.
At Mr. Sub, fresh thinking is what we are.
In Canada, people respect the winter elements and will dress appropriately, easily adapting to the change of seasons. Winter, where you'll find the clean, crisp taste of Molson Canadian.
I love this country.
And what beer's all about.
Tonight's game is brought to you in part by TD Bank. TD, your bank, your way.
Eric Weinrich in Chicago Stadium is gone for hooking Ty Domi at 15-10.
Domi standing in front. Weinrich gets that stick between Domi's legs, and I think Ty Domi took a little jump there and then a sprawl to go down, and that's why Weinrich was upset with Terry Gregson. He felt that Ty Domi took a dive. I think he's right.
A Domi dive off the 1-meter springboard.
Just a quick little bunny hop.
Jets' 6th power play. Russ Roenick. Thomas Steen. Keith Tkachuk parked in front of the net. Thomas Steen has the puck. Emerson quickly over to Mironov. Back to Steen. His shot deflected off Kuchera. Steen stopped it. Had he one time that he might have got it away.
Well, Thomas Steen is still one that John Paddock has to rely on, but for how many more years can the Winnipeg Jets continue to rely on him? There beside John Paddock, behind the bench, you see associate coach Andy Murray. Used to be an assistant coach, but now that John Paddock's got a couple of jobs, then Andy Murray has been elevated to that of an associate coach.
A little more authority.
Andy's got a good hockey mind, spent time in Minnesota and with the Philadelphia Flyers.
You know, John Paddock has some managing experience, too. He was an assistant general manager to Bob Clark in Philadelphia. So he's not completely unawares of the circles that are traveled by the general managers and how to deal with that position. He has some experience there. He said he's finding that when you try and make deals, things are a little slow to happen in the NHL. Everybody wants to think, double think, make sure before they make a move.
And they don't give away dimes for nickels either, so you've got to be able to make sure that you're making that right move.
Here's a short-handed 2-on-1. Jeremy Roenick. Kuchera tipped away from him by Nelson Emerson. Forward playing the point in the power play, and he got the puck away from Kuchera. Now Emerson's gone to the front of the net on the power play that has a minute to go in it. Tkachuk tried to get the puck to the front of the net, did, but Kuchera was there to clear it. Out to center, another 2-on-1 short-handed. Roenick, Murphy, he scores! Chicago's second short-handed goal in the game. Murphy and Roenick. A beautiful 2-on-1.
Kucherov just uses the backhand, gets the puck out. Now watch. Roenick's going to go right for the net. He keeps his stick down. He gets a piece of it as it goes into the empty part of the net. So Jeremy Roenick picks up his hat trick.
Three tonight, 31 on the season. 5-2 Hawks, and the ice is littered with hats.
I know, this is the part of the game that you would just love to be down there because there's all those $20 hats laying on the ice. That's quite a compliment that the fans have given to Jeremy Roenick. It's a tradition, but it's an expensive tradition these days. Folks, the way that things have been this year for the Chicago Blackhawks, it's not as if you think before the game on your way to Chicago Stadium that you're going to wear your oldest hat tonight, because the way that the Blackhawks have played this season, hat tricks aren't something these fans have expected.
Career hat trick for Jeremy Roenick.
This guy said, that's my favorite hat. Worked a lot of hours for that hat. I'm keeping it.
A 2-on-1, and JR lets it go the last 2 inches with this tip-in.
Murphy really held on to that puck for a long time, which forced Essens to commit himself, try to make his move, and at the same time Nelson Emerson was going down. Roenick just headed for the net.
He has both goals in this period. That is shorthanded marker. Second shorthanded goal of the game for Chicago. So Winnipeg is behind 5-2 and still on a power play. Samnok to the slot. Ran into his man Cam Russell and knocked him over, then went down himself. Checked by Darren Shannon.
Well, remember in the first period, with the Chicago Blackhawks got a pretty comfortable 3-goal lead, it evaporated pretty quickly.
Two goals in 26 seconds late in the first period for Winnipeg took care of that. Well, they like a little of the same action here late in the second period. The shots in this period are 9-4 in favor of Winnipeg, but Daryl Sutter's team has scored twice. It leads 5-2.
5 goals for the Blackhawks. Whoa. For a team that has averaged less than 3 this season, that's sweet.
Outburst at home since the last time Winnipeg was here, and that was January the 2nd. Since then, in 9 home games, they've scored just 17 goals until tonight. Lemieux slipped by a check from Dean Kennedy, but couldn't take the puck with him. Mike Eagles plays the puck to Kennedy. 2 minutes to go in the second period. 5-2 the Hawks lead. Jeremy Roenick. 3 goals, looking for 4. Beats Quintal in front. He scores! Great goal!
what to throw at him now. Jeremy Roenick's thrown everything at the Winnipeg Jets. His fourth goal, and what a maneuver it was. He's had such great puck possession tonight. He's had great wheels, and boy, as we come in the first period, he's been on fire. He's just kept that spark in the second. What an exhibition of stick handling.
By number 7, Chris Chelios, and number 30, Ed Belfour, 1809.
Chelios and Belfour set up Roenick's 32nd, his fourth of the night. Is the third time Jeremy Roenick has scored 4 goals in a game.
Belfour, 1809.
You could tell from his first shift tonight that he would fly, and he has been all evening.
You know, watching the Olympics and watching downhill skiers, they talk a lot about controlling their edges. We see that play and see Jeremy Roenick controlling the puck with great stick handling, but the maneuvering that he did by controlling his edges on his skates in order to keep the balance to get that shot away was really something that is very skillful and very difficult to do.
It's 6-2 Blackhawks. 4 of the goals scored by Jeremy Roenick. And he's just knocked down a pass again. Noonan shoots, and Essenza got a piece of that shot. Here's Ulanoff. He's going to fight with Roenick.
The way Roenick's played tonight, and he's done everything, he might as well just taken on Ty Domi too, because he's been kind of doing it all tonight for the Hawks. Maybe he also figured it was the only way he was going to get a rest tonight.
4 goals, 1 assist, and now he's won a fight. Let's leave the excitement of Chicago Stadium for this exciting update.
And we've been waiting to give you the game winner from the Spectrum in Philadelphia. As Eric Lindros from behind the net. Watch the spinorama move by Rob Brindamore as he fires the game winner, 125 in overtime. Philadelphia makes it 3 wins in a row with a 5-4 win over the Isles.
2 minutes tonight, 55 minutes for fighting.
6-2 the score here.
Jeremy Roenick, 2 minutes for an elbow and 5 minutes for
2 and 5 to Ulanov and to Roenick. Jeremy Roenick. Russ Roenick may have been on the ice. Jeremy Roenick gets 2 and 5. And Igor Ulanov gets 2 and 5. They both go down to the dressing room late in the second period with 1.5 minutes to go in it. 6-2 Blackhawks.
Well, this ice is taking a pounding tonight. The boards and glass have taken a pounding, and a lot of players have taken a pounding. And this guy, he's just
got to take a dance lesson. That's more like it.
He wasn't giving away that hat, but he should.
The final game of the regular season here will be April 14th when the Toronto Maple Leafs visit. It's a game we'll show you on TSN, the last regular season game ever. And make a date for that night because Glenn Hall will be here, Tony Esposito, Bobby Hull, Stan Mikita. They'll lower their banners from the roof of this building and present them to those great Hall of Famers. Bateau with a centering pass. Intercepted by Kennedy, and he clears the puck to center. John LeBlanc gets the puck to Kennedy. His pass got knocked up in the air. Roenick centering pass. Steen turned and fired. It hit a man at the side of the net. The Blackhawks try and clear it. Crazy bounces and high sticks. There's a sharp angled shot that went wide of the net. John LeBlanc got it away. Last minute of play, second period. The Hawks lead 6-2 thanks to 3 second period goals by Jeremy Roenick. Mironov got a piece of Ruutu and knocked his man down. Jets to center. Aronoff tried to pass up to John LeBlanc. He's checked by Eric Weinrich. Stefan Matteau peels back and picks up the puck. Matteau gains the blue line. Jeff Shantz goes for the net. Matteau centering pass. Essens is steered to the side. Russ Roenick shoots the puck in, then heads for the bench on a Winnipeg change. Cam Russell and Ty Domi are on the ice. Domi bumped with Russell. They're still together at center ice as the puck goes inside the blue line. Matteau shot the puck in behind the net. Russell and Domi have separated. It was a marriage that was bound to fail anyway. Period number 2 has come to an end, and Jeremy Roenick has given the Blackhawks a comfortable four-goal lead. No problem with the offense tonight. 6-2 lead for the Hawks. Here's what's coming up in our second intermission. Another whirlwind tour of the NHL. All the scores and highlights with Bob McKenzie and John Wells. Jeremy Roenick, 3 goals and an assist. Leads the Hawks. They have a big lead.
I got my first hockey stick when I was 2. A year later, my dad gave me my first pair of skates. Haven't taken them off since. In fact, a lot of people have helped me along the way. My family, coaches, teammates. Teamwork is also a big part of Thrifty Car Rental. They're dedicated and they're fair.
For instance, pick up a roomy Chrysler Concorde for only $49.99 a day.
Thrifty, official rental car of the NHL and Wayne Gretzky.
José Chouinard, 1994 Canadian figure skating champion.
My hair's dry to begin with, and skating makes it worse. I've tried some 2-in-1.
Plus, brings you a 2-in-1 breakthrough. Extra conditioning for dry, damaged hair. It conditions twice. First, it conditions all over. Then it sends extra conditioning to damaged areas.
So if you have dry hair and want it to be more manageable, try Perk Plus Extra Conditioning. It's breakthrough care for dry, damaged hair.
To find out what's happening in the world of hockey, turn to the pages of the Hockey News. Each week they take to the ice to bring you reports on your favorite NHL teams. From the benches to the boardrooms, the game's top columnists pull no punches and get a whole new look at the game with the lighter side of hockey. Add team-by-team reports in a great stats package, and you've got all you need to be on top of the game and your hockey pool. The Hockey News, now available at participating Shoppers Drug Mart, Pharma Free locations, and other retail outlets.
Live from Hockey Control, this is the NHL Tonight. On to highlights once more. We begin with a story from New Jersey. Devils and the Rangers for the 5th time this season. The Rangers had won the previous 4. First period Ranger power play, Messier feeding Sergei Zubov. He won times it passed Martin Brodeur for 1-0 New York.
And some sloppy play here. Bernie Nicholls strips the puck away from Brian Leach. A beautiful drop pass to John McLean. His 29th of the year. What a comeback year for John McLean.
And here an unfortunate injury to McLean as he takes a deflected puck in the face. McLean is forced to leave the game with a nasty cut.
And on to the 3rd period. Mike Richter comes up big for the Rangers. Stefan Richer on the breakaway. Bobby Carpenter on the rebound. Good saves by Mike Richter.
All right, later, this is Kevin Lowe with a shot from the points. Yeah, Greg Gilbert deflected that one neatly behind for his 2nd of the year, and that was all the Rangers needed in a 3-1 win over New Jersey. Messier had 2 assists.
And that makes him the 11th player in NHL history to collect 1,300 career points.
Capitals got 2 goals. That's all they needed. Kudelski scored for the Florida Panthers. 2-1 was the final. Burge and Pavonka for the Washington Capitals. And in overtime, Rob Brindamore at 1:25, set up by Eric Lindros for a 5-4 Philly victory over the Islanders. And that's 3 straight wins for the Philadelphia Flyers, who are now even with Florida in the race for the playoffs on the eastern side of things. Things are looking up a little bit for the Flyers and obviously for the coach, Mr. Simpson.
Well, Panthers do have 2 games in hand. You have to remember that. But it should alleviate some of the pressure on Terry Simpson, who's been under enormous pressure. Flyer owner Ed Snyder keeps on looking over to Washington saying they changed coaches. Jim Schoenfeld took the Caps from out of a playoff spot into a playoff spot. There's been an enormous amount of pressure on Russ Farwell to fire the general manager, but he's been able to hang tough, and the Flyers pull one out.
No, he wants to fire the coach because Farwell's the general manager.
Wants to fire the coach, rather, yes. Of course, he wouldn't want to fire himself.
All right. More in a moment as we continue on the NHL. Tonight after 2, it's all Blackhawks in Chicago as they lead the Jets 6-2, and Jeremy Roenick is on fire.
problem with using your local phone company for overseas calls is the out-of-reach rates that go with them. Fortunately, you now have a choice. Unitel Overseas, the new calling plan that can shrink the world by 28%. We'll guarantee you 28% savings on the overseas number you call most often. Whether it's in France, Italy, Hong Kong, or any one of 120 other planned countries. That's 28% savings versus your local phone company. Anytime, day or night. Call now to find out how you can also earn a free month of overseas calls. That's up to $500 in calls for absolutely nothing. So you can stick with your local phone company's out-of-reach rates, or you can call 1-800-305-3834 and ask about Unitel Overseas. With guaranteed savings and a free month, what in the world are you waiting for?
This is the NHL Tonight live from Hockey Control. On to more highlights now, starting with the Blues and the Nordiques. This one in Quebec City this evening. First period, Vitaly Karamnov shot from the slot, gets by Stefan Facette, but Claude Lapointe is there to clear it out before it crosses the line.
And later in the period, Bob Basson steals the puck and feeds it to Joe Sakic. Gets it right over there to Sakic. Shoots, beats Curtis Joseph far side. 1-0 Quebec. They're on a roll.
Later in the period, Vitaly Prokhorov feeds Karamnov. Facette, an excellent save. Karamnov tries to jam it in. It goes off Alexei Gustarov's stick, but stays out of the nets.
And second period, Quebec up 2-0. Garth Butcher's shot is stopped from the point. Bob Basson sneaks in, grabs the rebound, and scores against his old teammates. And let me tell you, shorthanded goal, the route is on.
Yeah, with the score 4-0 Quebec, Martin Rosinski leaves it for Scott Young, backhand far side, and Quebec is out in front, 5-0.
Say goodnight to Curtis Joseph. He's out. Jim Rivnak's in, but it makes no difference. Slumping Matt Sundin positions himself in front of the net, beats Rivnak, 6-0 final. The Nordiques win this one going away. St. Louis was never in it.
Yeah, and Stefan Facette gets his second shutout of the year. A bit of a surprise. Let's go to Cleveland, where the Red Wings and the Whalers got together. This is early in the first period now. Slava Kozlov gets the puck to Nicholas Lidstrom. He beats Sean Burke, 1-0 Red Wings.
And Detroit is all over Hartford on this night. Darren McCarty is stopped by Burke. Sergei Fedorov picks up the puck. He thinks he's going to put it in. Burke's out of position, but the Whaler goalie gets back to make the save.
Early second period now. Detroit's on a 2-on-1. Fedorov with a pass to Keith Primo. No chance, Sean Burke. 2-0 Detroit.
And just 2 minutes later, Darren McCarty with a great pass. This time it's over to Slava Kozlov. Finds the hole, goes in, beats Burke, 3-0 Detroit. The neutral site game in Cleveland.
Yeah, and celebration time for Chris Osgood, who has his first NHL shutout. And how about for Fedorov? 3 assists. He now moves within 7 points of Wayne Gretzky for the scoring race in the National Hockey League.
Now, Gretzky's got 1 game in hand. Kings have only played 60 games. The Wings have played 61. And obviously, Gretzky's right now a little more concerned about getting Gordie Howe's goal record, career goal record, than he is a scoring race, and I suppose more concerned about the plight of the Kings. But a good night for Fedorov, who's cooled off just a little bit since Steve Yzerman came back.
Yzerman has been hot, player of the week last week.
Yzerman has just been incredible since he's come back, but it'd be good to get both those guys going. It makes the Detroit Red Wings really tough to beat.
Yeah, and the Red Wings still trying to catch up to the Leafs. They get there tonight, and we'll have 1 game in hand on the Maple Leafs. We'll continue with more ahead from Hockey Control in just a moment. After 2 at the stadium in Chicago, it is the Blackhawks leading the Jets 6-2.
If you've ever had acid indigestion, what I'm about to show you is surprising. Think of this rose as your stomach. Watch what happens when I dip it in concentrated acid. Serious stuff. Now, watch how Pepto-Bismol coats this rose and works to protect it. Don't suffer with indigestion. Get the effective coating action of Pepto-Bismol. Serious medicine for your stomach.
Numbers. From day one, our lives are filled with numbers. Some are good. A lot you can do with that. But here's one number you don't want to do without. Call this number now, and you could soon enjoy the benefits of card membership. With the card, you get some really great numbers, like 25,000, the number of people you can turn to for help, and 24-hour service, just in case your world doesn't stop at 5 p.m.
American Express, how can I help you?
But the best number of all is the interest you pay. 0. Relax. There's even one number you don't get. You don't get a preset spending limit, so you're never caught short. And of course, wherever you use the card, the one thing you'll never be treated like is a number. So give us a call now at 1-800-465-0508. That's 1-800-465-0508.
This year, with your assists, we can hit our targets and net our goals. The money raised by your United Way stays in your community to help people who need help most.
United Way, the Calgary Flames, and all my colleagues would like to thank you.
This year, please give all you can give.
Welcome back. Let's get to the rest of the action, starting with the Ducks and the Penguins. This one in Pittsburgh this evening. Pick it up first period. Penguins on a power play. Jaromir Jagr to Joey Mullen, who puts it by the goaltender. 1-0 Penguins there.
Second period, Sean McEachran comes over from LA and blasts one from the point, and it beats Mikhail Stalenka, if I can pronounce that one.
Yeah, that's why I passed by that
You called him the goaltender. Nice move.
Here's Terry Yake shooting in the rebound. Back to Tim Sweeney. Pens lead it 2-1 at that stage.
Later in the second period, though, Ducks are shorthanded. Joe Sacco uses the breakaway speed, goes in on a breakaway, and beats Barrasso.
Third period, all kinds of chances for the Penguins, but no one can put it in the net. So nothing was settled in overtime. This one ends 2-2. The Penguins are winless in 3. Mullen, McEachran, Sweeney, and Sacco, the goal scorers in that one tonight. On to Ottawa with the San Jose Sharks in town. The 5-4 final favored Ottawa. And the Senators end a 12-game winless streak. And this one's still undecided. Tampa Bay with Savard having the only goal, leading the Flames in Calgary. It is 1-0 as it stands right now. As I mentioned, the Penguins winless in 3. They lost 2 in a row prior to the tie tonight. They're kind of an up-and-down team, but no Mario on this one tonight.
No Mario, no Rick Tocchet, and I suppose we should say that's a good enough excuse. Except earlier this season, missing Kevin Stevens at times, Mario Lemieux, Jaromir Jagr. The Penguins managed to rise above that, but tonight, pretty impressive performance. Take nothing away from the Anaheim Mighty Duck performance.
Third period coming up from Chicago. It is Jeremy Roenick night at the stadium there. He has 4 goals to lead the Blackhawks to a 6-2 lead on the Winnipeg Jets. And that's through 2.
It happens about 52 times a year, and generally after the second cup of coffee. It's called Saturday. And for a lot of people, it means a trip to Canadian Tire, where Canadians can buy products they're proud to own at the price they want to pay. Top quality, guaranteed low prices. Maybe that's why people have been coming back for over 70 years of Saturdays. And all the other fine days, too. There's a lot more to Canadian Tire for a lot less.
Now, to each man who shaves, there's an edge all his own. Only Edge Gel has 7 custom formulas to fit every shaving need. From extra moisturizing to sensitive skin, for the closest, most comfortable shave you can get an edge of your own. Edge Gel, skin care for men. Ultimate closeness, ultimate comfort. That's the Edge.
I have a blind date tonight, and you know what they say about first impressions. Do I reveal my nutritious, ready-for-commitment side with 100% whole wheat, or do I let loose the fun-loving Mr. Mini-Wheat with my great-tasting light frosting? I really want her to like me.
Then show her both sides, Mr. Mini-Wheat.
You think so?
Yes, show her everything a Mini-Wheat from Kellogg's has got, and she'll be back for more.
She'll never leave my side.
Well, now, Mr. Mini-Wheat.
She'll be my true love forever. Oh.
Let's not get carried away.
Here's tonight's second period scoring summary brought to you by Midas. For brake, exhaust, suspension, and steering service, trust your car to Midas. Well, it's short and sweet and simple. It's Roenick with number 30 at 13:15, followed by Roenick with number 31 at 16:21. And then his third goal of the period, fourth on the nights, with Eddie Balfour drawing an assist on that one at 18:09. 6-2 Chicago leading the Jets, and Winnipeg outshot Chicago 9-6 in the second. Chicago, though, has outshot the Jets 19-15 through 2, and we're ready for the third for Jim Houston and Gary Green.
It has been JR's night, but it's 5.5 minutes into the third period before he returns. He's had 8 shots on goal, scored 4. The Blackhawk record is 5, held by Grant Mulvey, who scored that many in 82. And we wonder if Jeremy can join Peter Bondra and Mike Ricci as 5 goal scorers in the NHL this season.
Well, he should be well rested when he comes out for the third, or in the third when he finally does come back out. So if that's any indication, a well-rested Jeremy Roenick and the way that he's played tonight, anything's possible.
Yeah. The NHL record is 7. The modern-day record would be 6. Darryl Sittler did it once. Red Berenson did it once.
That was Weinrich, who just worked his way beautifully through the neutral zone and then set up an opportunity for Jeremy Roenick.
Here's his second one of the third period. 2-on-1. Beautifully finished off. And the third one. This one was a beauty. He did it all himself.
He went right around Quintal, and that's where he showed excellent skating and balance.
Then he had a fight with Igor Hulinoff, and that's why he's sitting in the penalty box for 5.5 minutes in this period. So if you have to go recharge your glass, make sure you're back by the time the clock says 14:30.
Is it a full moon out tonight by chance?
I think it's indoors. In here.
Extra electricity in the air here in this building tonight. This is always a fun building to come to, but tonight these fans have been charged up as well. Of course, it helped when the Blackhawks got off to an early lead. Maybe these fans have been a little cooped up too with a big snowstorm that hit this city for the last couple of days, and we're itching to get out.
They were lucky to get out.
Yeah, some have bad backs from shoveling snow.
Yeah, Darryl Sutter said, my brother Brent can't play in the game tonight. He has a bad back, and I have a bad back from shoveling snow. We're a minute into the third period. 6-2 Chicago. Here's Darren Shannon. Gains center and dumps the puck in. Ty Domi and Cam Russell are on the ice. They break. We've been watching them closely ever since Ty Domi was in a fight with Steve Smith in the first period. Hit him a couple of times, and Steve's left leg buckled underneath him, and he's left the game with the leg injury and been taken to the hospital for further examination. Double teamed and knocked down. Domi goes to the front of the net. Darren Shannon tries to get him the puck. Now Domi in the corner, the centering pass. And play is stopped as the net has been knocked off. Dislodged.
Cam Russell was more intent on watching where the puck was in his own end zone and making sure defensively. Ty Domi may have to wait for another shift.
Both Russell and Domi go to their respective benches. This is what the Jets are up against. They haven't won since the 12th of January, a 3-2 win over Buffalo. They've been outscored by 40, now 44. Winless streak. Winless streak is 30 games from 1980. Steve Dubinsky in after the puck. He's checked by Wayne McBean. Here's Richie Sutter. He puts the puck to the end board. Stefan Quintal is there. Dubinsky throws his weight at Quintal. Jocelyn Lemieux knocked McBean over. Dubinsky got the puck. Kuchera breaks in. Off the boards, he chips the puck behind the net. It bounces out to Bob Essenza, and he hangs on. Captain Kachuk and Jocelyn Lemieux.
It's been said that the Jets have been a fragile team, and when you can get an early lead on them, then they end up holding the tent. I asked John Paddock about that before the game, and he said, you know, that really can be said about any team that is in a losing streak, and especially as long a one as the Jets are in. And he said, though, there's a lot of truth to it, to the extent that Other teams are really playing on that. That's their game plan, to get some early goals against them because they know that this team is just lacking confidence in a very large way.
Tonight, even though they had early goals scored against them, 3 of them, they fought back to make the game 3-2, only to have Jeremy Roenick take over and have one of his finer periods ever in the NHL in the second.
Well, so Paddock will be interested as to how this team performs in the third period, because they've had a gutsy effort for 2 periods. Jeremy Roenick took over on the scoreboard, but this third period will be interesting to see whether they can come up with a strong showing and play good, intense hockey.
Roenick is still 3 minutes away from returning to this game, having served his penalties. Here's Craig Smith. Sergei Krivokrasov playing with Chance and Jocelyn Lemieux. Krivokrasov pushed into the boards. Checked by Randy Gillen. The puck shot the length of the ice. Mironov, the first man back. To Chris King. Krivokrasov bumped him into the boards. Now Krivokrasov trying to get loose from King. Getting some help from Jocelyn Lemieux. Lemieux with Kennedy watching it. Jeff Shantz comes in after the loose puck. Krivokrasov up front. Stopped by Essenza. Didn't get a great shot away, but he got himself loose in front of the net. Chris King off the wing, stopped by Belfour. Eagles with a weak shot. Now Kennedy and Lemieux eye each other behind the play, and they looked as though they were going to fight. Have enough peripheral vision for a game like this. Little skirmish is broken up with penalties being dished out. We'll be back after this break.
Hey, this new Pepsi Max is really something, huh? Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, it tastes of regular cola and a third of the calories.
I'll grab that for a second.
Yeah, sure. What are you doing? I want to see if they filled it up a third.
Can't you just enjoy the taste
It's the only way to explain this calorie thing.
You're not going to open it, are you?
Oh, don't worry. You see, the lower pressure created by the chilling will keep the expansionary forces of the carbon dioxide at bay.
Who's going to open it?
It's elementary. New Pepsi Max.
Oh, jeez.
All the taste, 1/3 the calories.
Coming up after this game, Sports Desk with Michael and Brendan. And if Jeremy Roenick's 31st goal, or is it his 32nd, isn't the highlight of the night, there must be some sensational action somewhere else tonight. But all the highlights, all the scores coming up on Sports Desk. Here's Boris Mironov. Tried to dump the puck in and couldn't. Sergei Bowden passes the puck off to Russ Roenick. He takes a shot and whistled one just wide of the net. Playing 4-on-4 after penalties were handed out to Kennedy for roughing and Jocelyn Lemieux for holding the stick.
Jets need a quick goal to give them a little bit of spark.
Roenick pushed off balance by Chelios. Jeff Shantz takes over, speeds in over the blue line, drop pass to Chelios in front, tipped just wide by Steve Dubinsky. That would have been a beauty. Dubinsky hustles after the puck. Mironov got to it and hit it off Dubinsky's stick into the seats. Steve Dubinsky added to the lineup, and he has given this team a spark. He and Jeff Shantz, as 2 of the 3 members called up from Indianapolis of this ice line, had pretty good games.
He was just a 9th-round draft pick in '90. Daryl Sutter wants to see what these young guys can do, ever in search of somebody that can come up with some goals for him.
Dubinsky's just 23. from Montreal. Went to Clarkson College. Chance is just 20. He played junior in Regina. And Kriva Krasov is just 19. Those are the three call-ups. Neil Wilkinson has been used sparingly tonight. He's out on defense now. Shot by Dubinsky. Big rebound. Chance has got it. Passed off to Kuchera, and his shot was blocked. Jamnov spins around and goes down, and Jeff Chance is going to get a penalty. Jets will go to the power play when Chicago gets the puck, and as it's touched, and Wilkinson decks his man, the penalty's called. Stefan Quintel has been blasted a couple of times in this game, that time by Wilkinson. Power play coming up for the Jets on Molson's NHL Tonight.
You know, a lot of times I ride in gondolas just for fun, and sometimes I don't even want to get out because the weather's just too crazy. Well, today I know exactly what the weather's going to be like because I've got the weather radio from Radio Shack.
It's a handy little gadget. All you have to do is turn it on and it'll tell you the weather. That's unique. So when you're on a hot Australian beach watching the surf roll in, what do you talk about? The weather. Leon, Mexico. The weather. It has to be the weather. And if you'd had one of these, maybe you wouldn't have worn your beach pants today.
That's true.
Apparently the turning point tonight was when Jeremy Roenick pulled on his socks. But stay tuned for the TSN turning point after the game. For Interstate Batteries, we check them before you buy them for fresh power guaranteed.
Oh, please, just help me this once. Oh. Next time, get a dependable Interstate battery. We check them before you buy them for fresh power guaranteed.
Here's the Chicago penalty to Jeff Chance. A holding call.
Jamnov was making a tight turn. He went down. Watch this hit on Quintel.
Neil Wilkinson got him. Winnipeg's power play tonight has struggled. It's given up 2 shorthanded goals and gone 0 for 6. While Chicago has 2 power play goals and the 2 shorthanded goals. Special teams of the Blackhawks have them ahead by 4. The whistle goes and Kennedy's penalty has expired. So has Lemieux, and Jeremy Roenick is back in the game, having served his penalty for fighting Ulanov. He has 4 goals and an assist. And he's had a rest. Smith gone for the night after hurting his leg in the first period. Eric Weinrich returned after he was hit in the face with a puck in the second, but he's not returned for the third. Just too sore, and with the result apparently not in doubt, he's decided not to come back.
A gutsy effort on his part, coming back in the second and contributing to a goal, but with a 6-2 lead. Why play him in the third period? Not necessary.
Net was knocked off, stopping play. The crowd's buzzing here, and they're all screaming, I think, Darryl, put Jeremy on! He'll be back soon enough.
It's not that cold in here that Louis Varga has to put the towel over his face. It's cold outside.
Hot shot off the faceoff by Kuchera, and Essens has stopped that. Kuchera took a bump at center, but dumped the puck in for Chicago. Wayne McBean back in his own zone. JR's back. He's on the ice with Joe Murphy. Winnipeg has a man advantage. McBean from the point. A wrist shot blocked in front of the net. Here's Murphy and Roenick. They've had 2 2-on-1s shorthanded in the game. Roenick trying to get through to the net. Murphy takes over. Roenick in front. Oh, he's stopped by Essens. Number 5 was served up on a platter.
That puck's looking for him tonight.
And Murphy had no intention of shooting. Greener, watch. He's looking for Roenick as soon as he gets the puck.
Once Roenick lost the puck, he was smart. He just headed straight for the net, and that puck came to him. You know, the advantage, Roenick leads the play, so once he couldn't control the puck, instead of trying to go back after it, he knows that somebody's going to be following up on the play, so he was smart to go to the net.
Remember, Chicago's shorthanded. That was almost the third shorthanded goal of the night. 40 seconds to go in the penalty to Jeff Shantz. Belfour wanders, plays the puck to Wilkinson, who blasted it down the ice. Had he bumped it ahead for Murphy, there would have been another Murphy-Roenick 2-on-1.
Well, you've got to move the puck quickly on the power play against the Chicago Blackhawks because they come at you in every zone.
There's a giveaway. Murphy's on a breakaway. Hit the post. He scored once tonight on a breakaway shorthanded.
Oh, Jeremy Roenick just playing keep away out there.
Now he takes a break. Shant's penalty has expired. The Jets' power plays 0 for 7 as Mironov spilled Rich Sutter. And Rich got up screaming at the referee, Gregson. Chris King stopped inside the Chicago line. Dubinsky spun around but made a play to Chelios. Wilkinson pokes the puck ahead to center. Here's Jocelyn Lemieux. Checked by Stefan Quintel. Eagles is hit by Steve Dubinsky. And he's knocked down by Lemieux, and there'll be a Chicago penalty. Quintel knocked down Lemieux. Ty Domi's on the ice. Cam Russell is not. Lemieux is going to get a penalty for the hit on Eagles, but you know that Quintel will get a penalty for the hit on Lemieux.
That'll just even everything up. Lemieux was arguing it, but he's not finished arguing it with Quintel. Quintel and Lemieux can finish their argument sitting down in the penalty box.
So the former Quebec juniors head to the penalty box. Quintel and Lemieux. There's the hit Lemieux's getting the penalty for. And here's the hit Quintel's getting the penalty for.
Winnipeg penalty, number 4, Stefan Quintel. 2 minutes for cross-checking. Blackhawk penalty, number 20.
How about another breakaway for Joe Murphy? He made good on the one he had back in the first period and scored shorthanded. There's the post in the third.
Take a look at that stick blade. Murphy was.
Coincidental minor penalties then to Jocelyn Lemieux and Stefan Quintel. 8 minutes into the third period. The Hawks 6, the Jets 2. And a night when Jeremy Roenick has 4 goals. Shannon over the blue line. He's turned back. Here's Steve Dubinsky. His pass for Shantz didn't connect. Shantz and Dubinsky both had good games, and they're being rewarded with lots of ice time as Ed Belfour juggled the puck and then held on.
Well, this is a good opportunity for Daryl Sutter to be able to see what these guys can do as well, because when you've got a comfortable 6-2 lead, give them the ice time. The time you'd like to be able to give Jeremy Roenick a rest now, but after he's had such a fantastic game, scored 4 goals, you don't want to take him that opportunity away for him to be able to score more.
And Daryl Sutter says there aren't many opportunities to let Jeremy go out on the ice and be creative, and this is one where he's got a great opportunity. With a 4-goal lead, he can let him go out and do what he really wants to do in a hockey game. Doesn't have to worry about checking too closely. Roenick's on the ice. The teams are 4-on-4. He gets through center. Now he gains the blue line. Chelio shoots. It went off the shoulder of Bob Essenza. Murphy battles on the boards for the puck. Roenick hovers around. Couldn't come up with a loose puck. Dean Kennedy up the boards. Kuchera jumps to it, keeps the puck in. Now he turns and gets control out at center. 6-2, the Hawks lead the Jets. Emerson gains the blue line. Keith Kachuk shoots. Belfort stops him.
Now it's time for Eddie to get a little recognition here at Chicago Stadium tonight.
Hasn't been too busy, but early in the second period, he stopped 8 straight shots with the score 3-2.
Well, it's saves like that, though, that I think that give Chicago some confidence that just making the playoffs might end up not being all that bad for these guys when it comes to whoever they face off against. You see the goaltending leaders? That's who I would be the least or the most concerned about if I were the Chicago Blackhawks, is meeting the Toronto Maple Leafs. You know that Felix Potvin is such a capable goaltender.
Here's Russ Roenick. Almost put the puck in with one hand, and Belfort stopped it. A valiant effort by Roenick, breaking to the net with his backhander. He shoveled the puck in the air, and Belfort made a nice save.
Goaltending coach for the Chicago Blackhawks, Tretiak's here tonight, watching Eddie Belfort play. He's not around here a lot. He comes in from time to time to work with the goaltenders. Tretiak sitting in the middle. To his right was Phil Muir, former goaltending coach for the Detroit Red Wings.
And he's a player development coach for the Blackhawks. And Pete Peters is here as a goaltending instructor for the Winnipeg Jets, so there's a lot of good goalies here observing.
No stick. No stick.
And overseeing it all, the banners of Glenn Hall and Tony Esposito in the rafters of Chicago Stadium. Alexei Zhamnov for Winnipeg gains the blue line. Pushed hard from behind by Matteau. The puck comes out front with Belfort wandering, but no blue sweaters there. Christian Rutu's back to collect the puck. Reached the midway mark of the third period with the Hawks leading the Jets 6-2. Mike Eagles. Zhamnov comes in after the puck. Russell knocked him down right in front of the net. Great save by Belfort on Eagles. Zhamnov gets up. He's blasted to the ice. Oh, he's hit hard by Greg Smith. And Zhamnov, who didn't have his helmet on, is hurt. But earlier lost his helmet, and as he was falling, he was blasted by Greg Smith, and he's dazed. And Smith is getting a penalty. Name Zhamnov, City Chicago. We'll carry on.
Pepsi Max.
It's new. All the taste of regular cola and a third the calories.
Yeah, sure.
Tastes good, that's all I know.
Gull Labo.
Can't you just enjoy it without the analysis, Sigmund?
What do you think stops some crazy bigwig at Pepsi from just printing up a bunch of false labels?
Jail.
Oh, brother, you are so naive. New Pepsi Max.
Could you get him a fork?
All the taste, 1/3 the calories.
For roughing at 10-14. Blackhawk penalty Smith. 2 minutes for roughing at 10-14.
Greg Smith has been penalized for roughing at the 10-14 mark of the third period for this hit on Alexei Zhamnov.
Zhamnov had lost his helmet, and he just got drilled right here, but I don't know that it was really a roughing call necessarily on Greg Smith. He picks one up anyway, but it may also be a chance for Terry Gregson to be able to keep things off balance.
That might be the penalty there. Who knows? The arm went up at some point in that melee, and it may not have been for the hit on Zhamnov, but He fell right into the elbow of Greg Smith. Smith's off. The Jets on a power play for the 8th time in the game. Chicago scored twice shorthanded and could have had a couple more. And John Paddock isn't playing Nelson Emerson a forward back on the point in the power play right now. He's got 2 defensemen there, McBean and Quintel. Here's Chris King. Domi goes for the front of the net. Thomas Steen is out on the power play as well. Chelios checked by Domi. But he got the puck to Murphy, who cleared it the length of the ice. Roenick and Murphy start to kill the penalty, and now they'll make a quick change. Christian Rutu and Stefan Matteau have come out to kill it with Chelios and Kuchera. Domi for Quintel. Dumps the puck on the end boards. Thomas Steen lost control. Rutu couldn't clear the puck. Domi hit by Rutu. King comes in to help out. The Jets get the puck. Domi put the puck behind the net, and Kuchera took over and backhanded it the length of the ice. 45 seconds left in the penalty to Greg Smith. 6-2 Hawks. There's an icing call against the Winnipeg power play with 30 seconds to go in it. Let's have a look at the game story tonight for Coldwell Banker, Canada's fastest growing team of real estate professionals. Coldwell Banker, expect the best. Roenick, Roenick, and Roenick. And Roenick again. He scored 4 times. That's the game story tonight. Chris Chelios has 3 points. Weinrich has 3 assists before he left the game. And the Blackhawks have 2 power play and 2 shorthanded goals.
Think back to the opening of the game, and if Daryl Sutter had 3 stars tonight, might not be far off.
Chelios, Roenick, and Belfort. Igor Ulanov on the power play for Winnipeg. Sergei Boughton. Shamnov is back. His shot fluttered towards the net after being deflected, and Belfort stopped that. Greg Smith's penalty has expired. He's back on the ice, and the Winnipeg Jets are 0 for 8 with a man advantage. Ulanov. Sergei Krivokrasov watching him closely. Ulanov dumps the puck in. Kuchera. The Jeff chance with Dubinsky. Skates through the middle to Krivokrasov. This Indianapolis ice line is on for Chicago. Dubinsky fell down on the puck, but he gets back up.
Krivokrasov is a little hesitant about going into those corners on a night like tonight. He's a pretty shifty, skilled player. When he was called up from Indianapolis, his first experience here in Chicago Stadium this week was that of a tough practice by Daryl Sutter. He said he was pretty winded afterwards. And in fact, they didn't do that kind of thing in Indianapolis. They did a lot of standing around for 2 hours. Well, with Wayne Sutter there as coach, if I was Krivokrasov, I'd hope that I played real well, because if I ever had to go back to Indianapolis, I probably wouldn't be standing around too much for 2 hours.
He's only 5'9". He's only scored 18 times in 51 games this season. Daryl Sutter says he has to score to stay, because at that size, he doesn't bring an awful lot else but scoring to the party. Stole the puck. Sergei Krivokrasov, just 19 years old, pushed to the board. Bob Essensa out of his net to clear the puck around to the boards. Dubinsky kept it in. Andy Gillen trying to clear it, can't do it. It bounces into the slot, and the puck is collected by Gillen. 6.5 minutes to play, third period. 6-2 Hawks. Dubinsky. There's a penalty coming up here. It's against Winnipeg. And as Stefan Quintal touches the puck, the penalty's called. It's a roughing call against the Jets. The Blackhawks to the power play. That means JR will get some ice time when we come back.
When you see this sign going up on someone's front lawn, you can expect to see this one added to it very soon. We're Canada's fastest growing real estate team. Coldwell Banker. Expect the best.
In Canada, parties are planned to suit the season. Witness the fall party, the winter party, the spring party, and the ever-popular summer party. The seasonal party where you'll find the clean, crisp taste of Molson Canadian and what beer's all about.
Monday night, it's another doubleheader night on the Sports Network TSN. First, we'll show you the Toronto Maple Leafs against the Ottawa Senators at 7:30 Eastern Time. And it's out to the West Coast for the Montreal Canadiens against the Los Angeles Kings at 10:30 Eastern Time on the NHL Tonight, Monday night. Here, Darren Shannon has been penalized for roughing at 13:49. The Blackhawks get a power play. They're 2 for 5 with a man advantage in the game.
Pretty smart move right now by Terry Gregson. I think just keeping some imbalance to this game. As long as he sends one player off from one team or the other, creating a power play, it keeps some sanity within the game that might otherwise break out with an obvious 6-2 win here, and a pretty comfortable one at that for the Hawks.
Roenick is on the ice. He has 4 goals and an assist. JR passed the puck to the side of the net for Brian Noonan. Roenick to Noonan, out of the corner in front, stopped by Essenza. And the puck is cleared. One of Roenick's goals has come on the power play. And he has 18 power play goals this season. 5.5 minutes to go in the third period of the game. Hawks leading 6-2. Chelios to Kuchera. Jeremy Roenick spins away from Russ Roenick. Back to the point. Kuchera to Chelios in behind the net. Essenza out of his goal, flops on the puck and hangs on with 55 seconds left to Darren Shannon's penalty.
Roenick has great abilities to control the puck, as he did once he got the puck inside the blue. He didn't have to go deep with it, but he's patient with the puck. He just hangs on to it, does a couple of little spins in order to keep the puck, and just waits for the right opportunity for a teammate to get loose. That's something that you develop through experience.
Well, some power play time for Krivokrasov, Dubinsky, and Shantz now. Daryl Sutter's really given them a lot of ice time once the big lead was established to find out what they can do. Neil Wilkinson stopped the puck, but it got by him outside the blue line. Krivokrasov. Wilkinson backs up in his own zone with 40 seconds left in the penalty. Dubinsky left the puck for Krivokrasov. Gains the blue line, pushed off the puck by Mike Eagles. And Sergei Bab centered the length of the ice. Wilkinson over the blue line, passes off. Krivokrasov put the puck into the middle, and there was Luciano Borsato to take it away. Roenick with a shot, kicked out by Belfour, and a nice save. Last 10 seconds of this penalty to Darren Shannon. Jeff Shantz. Stefan Matteau's tripped up. Borsato gets the puck. Shannon's with him, having come out of the penalty box. As the puck is sent to center, and Boris Mironov chipped it back in. 4 minutes to go. The only question is, how much more will Roenick play? And will he be able to get his 5th? Now here's Chris King and Greg Smith. Smith to respond. In anger, he tried to start a fight, and Greg Smith would have nothing to do with it.
So Smith and Domi are talking now. Well, Greg Smith's smart. There's nothing to prove in tonight's hockey game right now. Why get all battered up in a fight? You've got a 6-2 lead, 3 minutes, 48 seconds remaining. Hey, night's over.
Shannon got a piece of Smith. King wanted a lot more of him.
2 minutes for roughing at 16-12. Winnipeg penalty, King, 2 minutes for roughing at 16-12.
2 minutes for roughing to Chris King and no penalty to Greg Smith.
That was kind of deja vu, though, wasn't it? In the first period, Chris King did the same thing, not to Smith, but
Cam Russell.
To Cam Russell. He held his cool and watched as the other guy went off to the penalty box.
Another power play now for the Chicago Blackhawks. 7th of the night. Jets have had 8. Michel Goulet, Stéphane Matteau, Christian Ruutu, the forwards on the power play. Smith and Russell appointment. Here's a pass to Craig Smith. He hammered a shot just wide of the net. What a bullet. Ruutu over to Smith. Let him do it again. This time he hammered a shot into the corner. Just kept the puck in. Russell shoots. Kicked out by Essenza. Nice save by Bob Essenza as the puck is chipped up over the glass.
Well, Greg Smith was probably also thinking, hey, I might even get some time on the power play here, and ice time is pretty precious, so why sit in the penalty box when you can be out playing on the power play, something that every player just hopes and dreams for.
Well, 3 minutes to go, and this might be the last shift for Jeremy Roenick. He's on the ice with 4 goals and an assist.
He'll be out there, though, with the quarterback in the power play, Chris Chelios, and boy, those two work well together.
Hawks play tomorrow night in Buffalo. Winnipeg at home to Boston tomorrow. Will the streak end at winless in 17? To go and a penalty to King. Kuchera to center, almost run over by Boughton, but he pushed the puck ahead to Jeremy Roenick. Now Roenick passes off. Noonan at the side of the net, and he tried to slide it across to Joe Murphy. Didn't work. Chelios to center. Passes to Noonan. Noonan tripped up by Boughton. Roenick comes in after the puck. Murphy gives him a hand. Joe Murphy now to Kuchera. Noonan's parked in front of the net. Roenick just off to the side of the goal. Murphy. Back pass to Kuchera. To Chelios. Back to Kuchera. Slides it into Murphy. Kuchera shoots. Big rebound. Bounce to center ice. Russ Roenick trying to break away. Chelios caught up. Got in between the two Jets. And Belfour made the save.
Well, all that was going on. Ulanov was hurt. Back in front of Bob Essenza. And he was able to get up, though, and hobble to the bench.
After all the ice time he's logged tonight, Chelios still had enough to come back and race Russ Roenick, track him down and take away the 2-on-1, and made the shot easy pickings for Ed Belfour. And back at the other end, Igor Ulanov was hurt and limped to the bench.
Watch in front. Top right of your screen.
The shot hit Ulanov and then bounced all the way out, and that's what created the break for Russ Roenick.
So you know that was a pretty hard shot for it to deflect and come out that far.
Penalty has expired. To Chris King. Minute and a half to play in this game. Cam Russell to Jocelyn Lemieux. Couldn't hang on to the puck at center, but Jeff Shantz picked it up. He's bumped off the puck by Shannon. Mike Eagles takes over. Another penalty coming up to Chicago. Looks like Jeff Shantz is going to get a minor penalty. And the parade to the penalty box continues. Shantz is called for tripping, and one last power play for the Jets. They're 9th of the night, but this one's out of reach. They trail 6-2.
Shantz, who was a second-round draft pick for the Blackhawks in '92, has shown that he can skate out there tonight, and he likes that open ice as well. I think that Daryl Sutter's making the right move. You might as well see at this point in time in the season, you're pretty safe in a playoff spot, what these guys can do.
And based on what they've done tonight, Shantz and Dubinsky will get some more ice time tomorrow in Buffalo.
Last minute of play, and he's still out there in the ice.
Yeah, here comes Roenick again, and Chelios is with him.
Can't keep a good man down.
They're shorthanded, but that hasn't deterred Roenick and Murphy tonight. They both scored shorthanded goals. Off the draw, the shot. Belfour stopped it. And although he wasn't entirely sure he had it, he stopped play by covering up.
Well, as a coach, you'd like to rest at Chelios and Jeremy Roenick in the third period when you've got a 6-2 lead, but you can't do that to those guys. They're just such great competitors. You can't see them sitting there on the bench in a game that becomes fun when you've got a big lead.
Gillen won the draw. Mironov with a wrist shot, and he put it just wide of the net. Into the last minute of the game. Randy Gillen, Ty Domi, back to Gillen. Romanuk's out front. Gillen, back to the point to Wayne McBean. Got the puck to the front of the net. Chelios was there to knock it away. Gillen works against Chelios. Chelios up the boards, not out. McBean to the front of the goal. Off a skate and just wide. Domi takes the puck into the slot. McBean shoots, tip, loose puck, they score! Russ Roenick is rewarded for a hard-working night, and he'll make it 6-3, but there's only 27 seconds left.
Well, Chelios is really upset over this goal. He didn't want another one scored on him. Watch Chelios now. Now, we won't see it. Maybe it was out of our screen, but Chelios was so angry at himself, I think, that he broke his stick right over the crossbar behind Eddie Belfour. He was just furious. That's the type of competitor that Chris Chelios is. Watch Chelios now. Hey, well, now we're going to see it. He's steamed.
Number 6, Wayne McBean on the power play of 19.
The power play goals of the Jets are 1 for 9 with a man advantage. Roenick from Gillen and McBean at 19:34. And the seconds tick away in this one as Jeff Shantz almost put the puck in the net. Chris King and Greg Smith are pushing it center as King wants Smith to fight. Terry Gregson just wants this game to end. Jeremy Roenick night at Chicago Stadium is over.
That's a huge win for the Blackhawks because they were starting to think that they weren't going to win at Chicago Stadium. It's been that long. They played well, though, against New Jersey. Daryl Sutter believed that this team had positive things that were going in their way. They just need to find some goals, and tonight, boy, did they ever find them. But from one guy, Jeremy Roenick in particular, They know he can score. It's the rest they're worried about.
Third 4-goal game of his career. And so the Blackhawks snap a 5-game winless streak at home, and the Jets are now mired in a streak that has seen them go 17 games without a victory. A bittersweet night tonight. As Roenick scores 4, the Blackhawks win, and Steve Smith left the game on a stretcher in the first period, having been injured. Here's what happened in the third period. The only goal went to the Blackhawks, or to the Jets. Russ Roenick, his second of the season from Gillen and McBean in 1934. The Sharks 10-7 for the Jets, and the final score of the game. The Hawks 6, the Jets 3. We'll be back with the 3 stars, and I bet Jeremy Roenick will be one of them in just a moment.
I got my first hockey stick when I was 2.
3 hours ago, we suggested if Daryl Sutter could have his wish, the 3 stars might be Roenick, Chelios, and Belfort. If they were, the Blackhawks had a great chance to come out on top. Here are tonight's Molson Cup 3-star selection. The 3rd star, Ed Belfort, got his 26th win and even chipped in an assist. The 2nd star, Chris Chelios, with 3 assists and over 30 minutes of ice time. And the 1st star, Jeremy Roenick, with 4 goals and an assist. Roenick, Chelios, and Belfort, the 3 stars, and Daryl Sutter will definitely be happy looking at the tape of this 6-3 Chicago
Stadium, but the United Center 3rd in the playoffs. In the Minnesota net, Don Beaupre, who at 5'8" and 160 pounds is 6 inches shorter, 30 pounds lighter than Liut, but a big man for the North Stars. He shut out the Blues in Game 5, and his